Welcome back, everyone, to Around the Arena, your place for everything happening around the virtual arena, both inside and out, powered by TFC. I'm Sam, that's Cody, and man, has it been a long time since we've done that intro. 6 minutes, in fact, or not minutes, 6 months. In fact, since we've done an intro for the pod, and as you can tell, it's a little, 6 minutes. I practiced it earlier right before we went live and blundered it the whole way through. But hey, here we are. We're finally back. The pod is finally back after a long hiatus. There's just been a lot going on, and today's episode is going to be a long one, to be honest with you. Strap in. This is a live recording, so as a reminder, if you haven't been here before, again, 6 months is a long time. There's been a lot of new faces around the community and around the arena. Keep in mind, this is a live recording of the pod. We won't really be responding to chat during this recording. However, we'll likely stay live for a little bit once the recording is done to kind of Q&A, answer questions, hang out, do all that kind of stuff before we go on with our evenings. But if you do come in late or, you've missed our episodes before, this is also going to be uploaded to YouTube and also our Spotify. We do have Around the Arena over on Spotify. In fact, shout out to a couple chatters who were in my Apex chat last night asking when it was coming back. So glad we could finally get this going. It's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. But Cody, welcome back, my man. How about we start off with talking about kind of what's been happening and mainly the rebrand, as people might have noticed as the Final Central, and they're kind of not really that anymore.
Yeah, we've kind of dropped it for something a little sleeker, a little smoother, a little cooler. It's something that I think people have already called us around, right? TFC, the acronym, is not what we go by. And, I like to call it the people's acronym. It's whatever you want it to be.
I've heard 3 freaking chuds, 3 final chuckles. There's been a couple of those thrown around the community for that, but
it's whatever you
yeah,
want.
I mean, to get in like the logistics and like the kind of why this happened at the beginning of the year, this was going to happen either way. We winded up wanting to form an LLC as TFC. We became established with about the first year of our time in the Finals Esports, and to do that along, with like the little bit of YouTube revenue and Twitch revenue we're making along the way, it just makes sense, right? We're 2 partners working on this project together. We wanted to make it kind of a more legally functioning thing, and hence that's where TFC came from. Obviously, we didn't want to have the Finals as a fully fledged company name. I think that would be a little silly, and so here we are. We're now TFC. If you've been around the Discord community for a long time or been around for the past few months, you know that everything's kind of swapped over there, here on Twitch as well. TFC_GG is the Twitch name. If you're watching this on YouTube, the YouTube channel has not been updated yet. It is going to get updated. There's obviously been a bit of a hiatus over on the YouTube side of things as well, which we're going to talk about very shortly as to why that has been. Obviously, we have been extremely busy, so if you're listening over on Spotify or watching on YouTube, you're like, these guys have just disappeared and now they're back. We have just been doing other things behind the scenes with the industry. But Cody, any final thoughts, anything you want to throw around with the branding before we welcome on our 2 amazing guests who are going to be helping us talk about everything that's been going on?
Nothing too much, just, we're turning a new page. There's a lot of great stuff that we're always working on, especially behind the scenes, and we're going to find out a whole lot more, like you said, with our 2 guests. So let's bring them right in. Let's give a warm, welcoming applause to Young and Artie IRL.
Hello. Oh, my God. Fellas, we've made our way onto the pod. Finally, we've hijacked the mainframe. Artie, hello, buddy. Good to see you. And hello, Sam and Cody. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on as well. It's good to be here. I believe I was on the most recent episode as well, which is kind of funny. So I'm happy to have stalled more than one project, not just my own. No, I'm kidding. But I'm happy to have this back. I mean, the Finals needs a podcast format. And what better than 4 white dudes with Shure microphones? We got to fix that at some point.
There's no other way to do it.
You don't even need a license to do this.
I think this is all we're allowed to do. There's a rule that says this is
if you look at the rule of podcast, you blow off the dusty cover.
That's it.
It's 1 page. It's all you need.
Yep, exactly. Rule of podcast, own an SM7B, a boom arm, and actually, funny enough, DSLR cameras apparently, or mirrorless cameras as well.
Everything you need.
Yeah, well, fellas, welcome aboard. I mean, obviously, you know, the four of us, you've probably seen us around a lot if you've been following the Finals esports scene, but we're going to kind of be talking about a lot of what's been happening around the arena, if you will. So let's go ahead and kick it from the top, right? ATA is obviously back. It's been almost 2 years now for TFC as well, and along with that, that includes like 2 years of PHL, pretty much 2 years of Finals comp at this point. And there's been a ton that has changed along the way. Obviously, with TFC, you know, Cody and I, we've kind of grown in our role, I guess, in the proverbial industry. Maybe is the way to say it, the community. We've taken a step into casting. And, you know, we've talked about this before on a couple episodes. I do think we talked about on the episode with Artie that, you know, shout out to Burrito Waltz, who kind of gave us that opportunity to get into casting for PHL Season 2 while we were doing the B streams. We have taken that ball and tried to run with it along with Artie and Young down below. It's just kind of been what's occupied a lot of our time. You know, there was a Finals esports pause for a brief moment, and then things came back probably tenfold, I would say, fellas. It's been kind of nonstop action since, I want to say, April. I think April was the first event I casted back. I was looking at Liquipedia last night. And since then, I think this weekend might have been the first weekend that, besides traveling one time to visit Cody in Vegas, that there hasn't been a Finals event that one of us at least was casting the whole time, which is pretty insane. And Young, we'll start with you. You've also been really busy. You want to talk about a little bit what the explosion in the scene has been like?
No. Yeah, it's been a lot. I think even reading our entire topic list, there's been a lot to talk about. I think because the pod's been gone for a little while, if you haven't tuned into the scene in a hot minute, the cycles for basically the qualifiers for TGM are happening. A lot to cover, so I'm not going to spoil everything, but there's some, the RD team has qualified. America's is insanely just tied at the moment. I think there's a lot that can happen there. And then APAC, same thing. It's just like ties across the board minus EMEA. So even qualing for TGM this year has been insane. The amount of events at the start of the year was crazy. I think we're really just into TGM mode at the moment. But no, it's been good. It's been good to kind of dip my little toes into as much yapping as possible in the scene. But it's been good. It's been fantastic, and I get to do it with my fellows.
Yeah, and Artie, you've been obviously very busy along with coaching and casting as well. You know, you want to talk about a little bit what's been happening on your end of the woods here at the community over the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody kind of knows with the whole PHL 26 situation that, you know, everything rose from the ashes, and that was a big part thanks to just literally both of you guys and Young, just everybody here that you see on the screen. This is the PHL sort of round table, and you know, taking up that has been incredibly difficult for all of us, but especially like behind the scenes trying to figure out how to monetize the Finals esports has been very eye-opening, because I've spent so many hours in meetings with people I never thought I would get to meet, people that I have, you know, been either connected with on LinkedIn for the longest time because I had one time worked on like their like thing or whatever in a different title, and just being like, hey, so you know, what's like, do you have any advice for me, or like, what's this? Or people even reaching out saying, hey, good job on PHL, here's some advice. And like, you know, talking to people on that end of things has been so eye-opening for me, and it has taken a lot of time away from actually casting or bringing things back, because all I could think about is, when we go back into it, like, how do I optimize it more? And then obviously I've also been spending some time with the actual community side of things and coaching a lot of players, some players that have actually now competed in those TGM cycles. And, you know, it's really cool to kind of just have my hands in like all of these different areas. But yeah, burnout is real. And so avoiding burnout has been, I think, the sort of main process over the last couple of months. Obviously, I was on the mainland for a little bit. I have been trying to branch out of casting for a little bit and trying to do more with my voice. I have officially booked a gig with my voice, and hopefully I'll be able to talk about it in 4 years' time when the NDA expires. So, very cool. But yeah, I got to go to LA, got to pay my rent for a little bit, and hopefully there'll be more of that. So, yeah, I mean, that's just all I've been up to. And now that we're all back, it's time to settle back into the Finals esports.
Settling into our seats or chairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Puli, could you see?
That's a Puli.
That's a bar that Cody has dropped over a year ago and somehow still sticks around to this day.
Okay.
Some of his
Listen,
finest work, if you will.
Especially with how hot it is lately, everybody's kind of cooling. The gamer sweat.
A lot of
My
gushing,
AC's
yeah.
cranked up right next to
My
me. So here,
chair
hi,
has
buzzing.
AC,
Sorry,
so-
my
Yeah,
God.
you have an air conditioned chair.
that's actually crazy work.
That is
Gosh,
actually
he's so
insane work.
cool. Literally, he's so cool right now. Jesus.
Yeah, well, we've been talking a lot about, like, obviously we have been casting a lot of events. Again, we all have Liquipedia pages. You should check them out sometime. They're actually, it's been eye-opening to see how much we've all done this past year. And I say this past year as if it's not August, right? We got a long ways to go before 2026 is closed. Obviously, we have TGM coming up in November. But I think the big reason is obviously talking about why we have been casting so much. With the mention of TGM, I think it's no surprise. A lot of casters in the scene, definitely us included, want to cast the major. I think it's an end goal that everybody kind of wants within the scene currently. But casting, you know, we've talked about it before on previous episodes, has been a really cool outlet for, I think, all of us personally, right? Like for myself, I've gone on tangents before talking about how it's kind of scratched my music itch, which is the musician to caster pipeline within the finals is truly remarkable. And you should talk to your other fellow casters to learn about that as well. But
Is that not mute?
no.
I pressed the mute button. That's crazy.
We thought you wanted to speak up. We thought you wanted
Yeah,
to say
I thought that was
No,
a
that's
nod
crazy.
to you.
I pressed the mute button and then I see Discord light up. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. That's awkward.
No worries. Well, I mean, hey, I thought it was a nod because the last episode, like you mentioned already, was about you. Like we really dove into, you know, how you reached, I would say, this point, but that was 6 months ago, and obviously you've grown even more since then. But, you know, we talked about that kind of music pipeline as well for you a bit and such. So definitely recommend going and checking that episode out. Again, it's on YouTube and it is on Spotify. It's a great episode, 10 out of 10, I think, as well. There's also
Such a
one
good
of
episode.
Young, if you want to learn about him and his history back from when he was coaching with Alliance. Again, a long time ago
Lord.
at this point.
Oh lordy lord!
it was a long time ago.
I suppressed those memories way back. I've unearthed them once again.
Same. Same. I think
all
my
until Teresa
episode
jumps
has
off the map.
Yeah,
listen. Let's keep going.
Oh, no.
Well,
got
I
nothing.
kind
I
of
had a
wanted to
bit.
go. I kind of wanted to go around the room a little bit, right? Because we've all, again, on the casting front, we all have our goals and stuff. We've all talked about before, you know, what it is that has kept us wanting to do this. You know, what keeps us hungry to want to cast gigs and what it is about Finals Esports we want. But I kind of want to go around the room because it's been a long time since I think we've all sat down and really talked. Cody, I mean, maybe we start with you. You know, what is it kind of been that's made this hobby a bit of a passion for you? You know, you obviously all of us have casted over 20 gigs since the beginning of the year. Again, it's only August. We have so much more to go at this time. But what has it been, you know, in the scene that's kind of kept you around, I guess?
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of explains every experience, right, in the scene is just the people, right? I mean, the amount of incredible people that we've met through all these events and just networking and just, I mean, some of these people, right, have become some lifelong friends, maybe some looking at right now. Yeah, I mean, overall, just the people that I continue to meet and just being involved in something kind of bigger than myself is so cool. And like you said, right, kind of the music background, being able to kind of express myself, right, is another big one. It's just a great way to kind of be involved, be a part of something, and it's just such a cool hobby, right? You get to do so many cool experiences and meet so many great people. So I'm going to go with that one. I don't know about you, Young. What do you think?
I think actually I'll start with like the very beginning. When this game first came out, I told myself not gonna do anything esports wise. I think for fun without it. That didn't happen. So that's that one up real quick.
They dragged you
Got
right in.
That's
looped
real.
in, man.
Yeah.
No, I think played a lot of stuff before and played this game enough. I'm like, you know what? Let's try and do something. Fast forward, didn't enjoy playing it as much, but I liked talking about it. I like making content still about it. And so for me, even doing like the coaching thing and then jumping into the casting bit was kind of like the best of both worlds, where I don't like the stress of playing the game at like a high level. It stresses me out. I don't like it. It's icky. So I let the players do it. But it's fun just to talk about it and kind of like break it down. Even I'm sure all of us kind of seen this before. Like you learn a lot being just in the casting seat.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you realize, hey, how's all these teams are playing, and like how the meta develops. Like, yeah, you can watch scrim as much as you want, but I think seeing it from a different angle and like cash out and all these ways that guys are holding the box, or like the way they're roll, even like the rollouts throughout the map, which I think we'll talk about in a bit, like Nightmare and Luminon and teams that are very good at that. You just get a really different perspective about it, and I think, you know, not every call is going to be correct because the finals is freaking dynamic and wild. But I
Yep.
think it is.
Very much.
It's something that I'm happy with the improvements throughout kind of everything. I think all of us, especially last year, we even talked about it. The OGs of like, Artie, Waltz, Rio, Jerry. I wish Jerry was real. I think seeing all you guys go up there and do it was like kind of a big inspiration.
Definitely.
And so that was like, man, seeing everyone up there. Granted, I was also on stage for a little bit at TGM, but like seeing you guys go up there and yapping, you guys sound so good. I'm like, I want to do that. And so I think that was just like the thing. But yeah, long-winded way of saying casting, a lot more stress-free. There's still stress in it. People will yell at you, but that's okay. But I think it alleviates the stress of playing the game, but keeps me involved at a high enough-ish level where I'm like, okay, just being involved in the scene in some way is worth it.
That's beautiful, honestly. I think you bringing up,
Thank you.
especially like Sam and I, right? We were sitting down, we watched the Grand Major, we were sitting in our wonderful chairs with everybody. And I mean, hearing, these people that we've been so involved with up on this big screen and hearing their voice echo throughout the arena, and even getting to talk to Waltz after, and, him getting pretty emotional with us about just the whole experience. I mean, it was awe-inspiring. Yeah. And speaking of someone that maybe got to have that experience was Artie, the man, the myth, the legend himself. So what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, like, what's funny is, like, last year, I was the hungriest boy. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to cast. I wanted to coach. I wanted to be involved in the back end. I wanted to do everything I could. And then now that I think have achieved that, like, I've reached Samsara and I've done everything. Now I'm ready to just cool off and just cast and not do anything else. Like, I think that at the beginning of the year, when Embark made the rules about like, oh, you can't cast and coach at the same time, I was pissed because I really wanted to still like stay with the team. But like now, after having like done so much with PHL and so much with like coaching like the community and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I'm chill to just do one of those things now. Like I don't think I think Young said it perfectly. Like the stress of like being involved on stage and like coaching and like being with a team and competing is a lot lot of strain. And doing
I'm
that
old
as well
and I'm already
casting,
crumbling into dust. I can't take much
Right.
more of it.
Exactly.
Sitting next to
I'm
Young, sitting
decrepit.
next to Young when Alliance was playing, like I've never felt more stressed, and that wasn't even my team.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with them. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I remember collapsing on the floor as we see Carney, Trees, and Palma splitting apart on Fortune Stadium, and someone drops the box. I don't know if we ever got to the end of that one, and it's like watching a car crash in slow motion. You just can't look away from it. It's like, oh, this is GG boys.
it's like watching a medium fall off the map in slow motion. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I've never seen that before.
It's like the memes I've seen because I've been following CDL a little bit because EWC is going on, and like Nade Shot just fell to his knees next to a blackjack table at COD Champs in Vegas. I was like, I saw that IRL, I think out of Young in the middle of DreamHack Stockholm.
No, you definitely did.
I was like, damn, that's real. That hits a whole new way now.
It's when and look, we'll talk about I think TGM 25 meme review will have to happen, but like you go from doing the donut shutout against TSM on Bernal into whatever the fuck happened in the next two maps.
Dude, they were so hot that map too. It was incredible.
Damn.
We saw their best and worst gameplay in one set. It was insane.
Yeah, we really did. Hey, we'll come back to that though. Anyway, to just jump on what Artie was saying and hijack his points.
Yeah. I wanted to actually ask Artie a little bit, kind of the same question a little differently, because, obviously, Artie, out of the three of us, I think you've got the most experience. I mean, definitely over Cody and I, because the finals has been the only place we've ever casted. What has it been like about this game, even up until now, that, has kept you wanting to cast the finals, right? Like, is it the pro scene that's evolved? Is it the game itself? Like, what is it that you've really just enjoyed most about this game? Because obviously you've had the experience of casting, honestly, some larger titles as well. I'm just a little curious on that.
Honestly, it's just the fact that I just feel that this game scratches an itch that no other game does, just because of how dynamic it is, how fast-paced it is. I think we've said before how the finals kind of is that perfect blend of like ADHD goodness for people that like can't focus and don't have an attention span anymore, because the matches are fast, the decisions are fast, the TTK is fast-ish, and it's like that level of competition at the very top it's always evolving, right? Like one single damage update to a weapon changes the way that everything else is played. But more than that, I think it's also the fact that this game still hasn't necessarily matured in its esports ecosystem yet. So there's still a lot of stories to be told on the player side of things. And, watching back the top 8 from EMEA yesterday, or 2 days, 2 days ago, I don't know. I stayed up for 36 hours. My time is blurred. But watching that back and watching the Americas broadcasts and whatnot, I think that one of the areas that this esport still doesn't necessarily have that others do is that story about the players. And like when you watch Valorant esports, or you watch Overwatch esports or Apex Legends, the casters in those games consistently talk about each individual player's storyline. And I had a really good conversation with one of the guys at Embark about this yesterday, where, it's a little bit harder for us because in those titles, those casters are salaried. Like Overwatch League, I remember those casters are on a salary and get benefits. And same with like Blast Esports for like Counter-Strike. Those are full-time employees that their only job is to chase after these orgs and these players who have in their contracts a certain number of content pieces, or they have to stream a certain number of hours. And, there's all of this stuff that allows that connection to happen. But the Finals Esports, we have to dig for that. Like, none of us are making anything for PHL.
Right.
The TGM Online series is so it's so tight that there's not really a lot of time. And most of the EMEA players don't even stream.
Right.
Of course, a lot of the NA players do. But for the APAC teams, good luck. For the AMER like teams, the ones that stream, and even the ones that don't stream, like, or the ones that do stream sometimes, like, you just don't know who's competing at any point because it's not really clear the way that this is set up. And there's a lot of these hurdles that is just, we are still in the fledgling days of this esport. And Embark has said last year that the finals is going to be a 10-year game. And, that means we've got until 2033 to get all this figured out. And it's only 2026. So there's going to be a lot more time for all of that stuff to develop and for those stories to be told and for all of that, juicy stuff to kind of get there. And I think that the thing that keeps me coming back every single day is knowing that, it is going to be a new week next week with new players, new stories, and new everything. And I do kind of like putting in the work to uncover it, at least on the America side of things. The Europe players, oh man, I don't know if I like digging those holes.
You've been digging in your hole, huh, Artie?
Jesus Christ.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, I do want to throw a quick shout out over to the APAC folks who have been holding it down over there, like OFL and such. Because Artie, I mean, you bring up the best point that like the only time I ever see APAC content is, I mean, time zones don't help anything, but like obviously these TGM Online series have kind of been the best way to tell that story at this point, especially. And I mean, shout out Embark as well. First of all, shout out PHL Apes, and then shout out Embark and OFL as well, because originally we would have even less to tell, right? There was not going to be top 16 coverage happening. Originally with these online series, it was only top 8 that you would get live feeds from. And, shout out Artie, shout out the rest of like Apes as well for really kind of pushing that and saying, we have this community online that are so passionate about this game, and they just like, we want to be able to deliver this content. We will produce it for you out of the kindness of our own hearts, literally for the community. And that is how those top 16 broadcasts kind of came to be. It's insane. And I mean, they've created some of the most insane storylines out there so far. I mean, just truly incredible stuff.
The fact that if Apes and PHL didn't do anything, if those matches weren't seen,
right?
Yeah, I think even like we're gonna talk about all the cycles and event like teams to watch, but like even seeing how teams have progressed, and even Envy, for example, a team that is nowadays kind of hot and cold. You don't really know which one you're gonna get. It used to be like Envy's gonna win back-to-back champs. It's easy. It's locked up at the end of the year. Not the case anymore. Seeing like, oh crap, they didn't qual, like Tycho and Cycle 2, seeing how they didn't qual, like all these little things like cracks in teams' armors and all this other stuff. It's the fact that that wasn't going to be on air is actually kind of mind blowing, but I'm glad we all being happy.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, not to derail the nice flow we had going, but yeah, I mean, talking about like Envy and like some of the players at the very top, you could tell that like there is a little bit of burnout in the ecosystem at the moment because a lot of those top players, they don't stream the finals every single day anymore. It used to be the case that like these players would compete and like mid-season, even outside of season, they're just playing the finals day in, day out. They wake up, they play the finals. Gremlin plays, I think, more Deadlock these days than he does the finals.
Yeah.
And I think that has finally started to hit his performance a little bit when the meta really took a change in Season 11. Yeah. But, I mean, he's still able to keep up for now. But, you know, I think that a lot of these players are kind of trying to figure out what the balance is for them, because at some point you just can't keep playing the same game every single day if it's not paying the bills.
Yeah,
100%.
And I think even after TGM, there's rumors of people going to different things after this. But yeah, I think even after TGM, wouldn't be hugely surprised if some folks dip out. I would say like either like jump to other games, like you said, something else. Don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I think with how the finals works, we'll have to see what the next year looks like, because obviously it seems like there's a lot more, kind of like Sam said, right? Seems like we've just been busy constantly. There's events, there's something going on, but I feel like after TGM especially, there's that little bit of cool down period, right? Just a few months where things kind of everybody takes their break, starts to do a little roster changes, right? Who knows? Maybe someone will take a little bit of break and they might feel the itch again, the itch that we all have to come. Wonderful, beautiful game. It is unique for a reason, and I think that's why a lot of people stay. So you might just need a little bit of a reset, as people like to call it.
I mean, yeah, we had like you said, I mean, we had a small pause even in the scene, and then things came back tenfold. I mean, this year's been, I think, busier. I would imagine busier. So much so that, I mean, Cody and I were literally talking earlier this weekend, because I had the realization yesterday that I didn't have anything going on for once. And Cody, you mentioned as well, you're like, I think I was messaging people on the side and asking if I was missing anything.
I was messaging. I'm like, do I have anything going on this weekend? Like, am I forgetting anything? Or is there something going on in the scene? And they were like, no. I was like, oh my gosh. I get to go outside.
I had that last weekend too. Nice. I had that last weekend too, because like I took a weekend off to go to the Marvel Rivals event, and you know, it was like I was supposed to be doing the top 8 for Americas, and it's like, hey, I'm not doing anything for one weekend. Is that fine? Like, is that, are we chill? And like my body was in fight or flight. I literally had to like go outside and take a breather, because it's like I should be doing something here. But yeah, so I feel you on that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, if we're feeling that way, again, I can't imagine how the players are feeling, being just back-to-back. I mean, just back-to-back events, these online cycles that keep going on, and right, especially if you're like on the Americas side where things are so close. I mean, we have a tie at first and second place. I mean, that's gotta, you're probably ready for a little bit of a break, to be honest. I'm not too surprised to see other people just playing different games. I think Uni literally is playing in Jinji's Apex tournament today. I was watching it on Twitch earlier.
I think he's live right now.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think something just to touch upon is like, you know, burnout, I think, is something that happens to everybody. And it's really important to just take a step back every once in a while and kind of just figure out where you are. Taking a week off, taking a day off is really important. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. Really important to just remember that as a person. It's always something good. So mental health is everything. But I do want to talk about burnout. I think a lot of people are experiencing burning out right now, especially because of one particular meta. Who wants to be the one to forefront that conversation?
It's the mesh shield. it's there's too much invis.
I mean, I'll be frank. I'll be frank,
You're
right?
Close,
like
man.
I've been playing.
Close.
I've been playing other games. I just straight up. I'm a heavy main. I would call myself in the finals at this point. You know, I originally was medium when we started TFC and whatnot. And I've gone heavy for the last few seasons. This ain't the meta for me. I'm just sorry. I'm not interested. It has taken the wind out of my sails a little bit. And then Frank, you know, if you haven't been playing the game, you're coming back. Maybe you saw the notification on YouTube or Spotify, and you're checking out what's been happening in the finals comp scene. All right, we had one of the healthiest metas, I would argue, in the last season. Right, season 10. Now it was kind of HWO. My dog is disagreeing. I'm sorry if you hear him kicking over there on the side, bro.
He's a big fan. He's a big fan of this.
He loves KS Mesh.
He is a big KS Mesh fan.
Take it back.
But I mean, Young, you and I have talked about it a bit, right? We went from arguably one of the most diverse metas last season, at least on the heavy
Yeah.
forefront with terms of weapons and gadget pool and things like that. Obviously, HLL, kind of the upper echelon of the meta, but we did see HML. We saw some variations like AGB as well with the double HL. Like, there was a good mixture of things happening last season, but season 11 has dropped. And, oh boy, yeah, we've said before, hey, bumping some damage numbers on weapons tends to cause a really big ripple effect. And that has become the case, right? KS went from, 100 to 110 in damage, basically the equivalent of our RPG. I mean, double mesh is really strong. Dash got nerfed by one charge, which has completely taken Dash out of the meta, and everybody's running into this now, which is also just maybe not the most exciting thing to play or watch or cast.
Please.
Go ahead, Artie.
I actually have I prepared like kind of a script for this because I'm actually doing a video on the KS23 meta this week, and the kind of like research that I've been doing so far, the stuff that I've uncovered is basically, you know, I had a really fun talk with Embark about why the KS23 is really, really powerful right now. And the thing is that if you look at the numbers, right, technically it is not any more lethal than it used to be, right? 100 damage in the KS23 versus 110. That's still 2 shots for a light. It's still 3 shots for a medium, right? That doesn't change. It's where it's like versus heavy where that change does come into play. But the real thing that brought the KS23 into the meta was the dash nerf, where when you nerf dash, you get rid of that extra dash, then suddenly lights have no escape anymore, and you have to just win your first shot fight, which is done by invis. The reason that I think that the KS23 meta is kind of insane right now is because the KS23 was slept on for so long, and now that it's back into the forefront of people's faces, it's coming in the form of 2 KS23s on a team. Because medium is also just in such a weak place. It's been in such a weak place since season 10 even, where, you know, we had so many teams experimenting by getting rid of the medium, and, you know, coming into that background, into that context, you have the KS46 when you have 2 of them on a team, and I think that that is way stronger than anticipated, and it kind of leads me to the question of, like, what if we had a role lock in the finals of getting rid of double heavy? Because a long time ago, in the very early days of the finals esports, back in, you know, breakout days, Kachi Rivals days, double heavy was banned. I believe even the early days of PHL, double heavy was banned. And that, you know, kind of got grandfathered into where, you know, teams got used to running HML. And then we happened to be in a really good meta where HML was good. And that just sort of carried over into TGM. There wasn't anything stopping people from running like double heavy in TGM. It's just that it wasn't the best. And so I think that in theory, there could have been a team running double KS heavy in you know, TGF 25. It could have done well. But just now the fact that light, it has been nerfed, medium doesn't really have a role. Like, KS23 is just a natural progression of things, even without the damage buff. Cody, I think you have a good point to add to this.
Yeah, I think you actually bring up such a good conversation that I've had with a lot of people as well. Is like, I think role queue is an interesting idea, and I think it definitely open to trying it. I know Overwatch went through that phase where they did role queue, and I think a lot of people actually ended up disliking it over time. They felt like it kind of restricted the meta a lot more. It made the game very rock paper scissorsy. With that, though, I also, you know, you have the other extreme, right? And me and Sam know a ton about this, which is Call of Duty and GAs, which is a little bit of a slippery slope. But I'd also be curious. I wonder if there's, you know, it's kind of hard because I feel like the pro players in this game do actually, like, a lot of them do actually have some beef with each other. So I don't know if they could ever come together as like a union and be like, yeah, nobody's running double heavy. Or, you know, oh, yeah, we're going to GA KS. But that's also another conversation to be had. Is like, I wonder if GAs would ever work. But I always worry about GAs, right? Because it's such a slippery slope of like, okay, yeah, we're going to get rid of KS23. And then the conversation is like, well, I don't really like Dash, so let's get rid of that too. And you know what? Actually, I don't like Light either. Let's get rid of that. And now everybody's just playing medium FCAR with no gadgets, no specialization, and everyone's just medium FCAR.
I think instead of a Dash, instead of a a GA thing. I think honestly a pick and ban system or like a ban system,
That,
like
or
the way
like
that the old tournaments
only
were.
one gadget. Like you can only have one of each, right? If you run double heavy, you can't dupe. You can't double up, which also could be interesting as well.
I think that could be interesting. Young.
I was gonna say, I think you guys kind of covered everything. I had in my little notebook. I am fine with 2 of 1 class. I don't think the problem is that. I think this is just the most oppressive and kind of depressing meta we've had in a long time. Other ones were rough, but I think this one is like extra rough. I think to Artie's point earlier too, the util of the KS has now not gone unnoticed, where everyone's like, wow, this thing's really good and it does a lot of damage. You put 2 on one team, we can delete somebody immediately, and you put an LH1 or an XP on the other side just to get a little bit of chip damage in. I think the bigger problem, and I think I would be super entertained if there was a pick ban system as well. I think way back too, like early finals comp, I put a message in the finals official Discord when ranked was first coming out saying, hey, any thoughts on a rank lock? And fucking got clowned on. Everyone was like, this is stupid. I'm like, well, I don't know. So I don't really think it'd be good in the sense of the game, because the whole game is about, play anything, do whatever. That said, the competitive scene is not the game. And so I think there is a case to be made about restricting things to uniques, or at least for weapons, or like a ban system for like the lobby, how the old Korean system used to be, right? For the Korean comp system for the league, I forget what it was called. But for people who didn't know, when Nexon was running TFNL, thank you, Artie, they had a pick ban system. And so each side could ban, I think it was 2 things. It was weapon or spec or whatever you wanted.
It was 2
One of
things.
each, right?
So,
You
but
could
that
ban
was
whatever
also
you
back
wanted.
during. That was also
just
back
2
during
any.
terminal attack days.
Yeah.
So
I think there's enough stuff in the game now where you can actually do that. I think there's an insane amount of weapons and gadgets, even the specs. Like, okay, maybe you can't ban the spec, but you just make those unique.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if we can get all the specs back where like every class has the same amount of specs, I think I'm so down for that. That's the only thing I worry about, is the lack of like. I also feel like all the specs kind of need to be a little bit more usable too, because like right now there are a lot of classes where it's like you really only have 1 or 2 at most usable specs. So I don't know. It's a little tough in the spec department.
I think just make it so you can't double specs in at least this current meta.
I would love
fix
that.
a lot.
Let me try
I'm
that.
fine if
right?
you had double KS, but the double mesh is the biggest
worst.
bummer.
Probably,
it's like the shield shred is like not there because they have 2 KSs. Like, okay, you do like a little bit of damage every now and then. You have to have a glitch grenade or something, or a glitch barrel, or just anything to take out the front line. I think the double mesh is the most like fun, oppressive thing.
We should talk to the guys who run PHL and see if they'll do that. Maybe they'll listen.
I've heard they don't listen to anybody. I heard they're mean.
Oh God! Listen, I was gonna say, actually, shout out Luck real quick. Luck has done this. Luck has tried this with Luck a couple times, and they've actually been insanely fun to watch, and also I think to compete in. The other thing I was gonna say is, one, like Cody said, they got to get the spec count up to par with every class in order to do spec bans. That was always, in my opinion, the problem with TFNL, even when they were doing it in 3s. I don't think they were doing it in cash out, but they were doing it in 3s at one point even. And that was the problem, because they would force mediums on a turret, which was diabolical to do, by the way.
This is back in what, the DMAT?
They were like, we're going HML, but you're running turret. It was crazy work. I mean, like, I think the specs have always been the thing. I think even with one of the Luck Cups, they didn't ban specs. The first one, I think they did, and in the next ones, they didn't, because that was the issue. There just wasn't enough specs to do pick ban on in that regard. One thing I would be curious to see, you know, as the finals esports has evolved in terms of formats and stuff, obviously things have become a marathon. I think there's no getting around that. I think everybody knows that, right? When you're watching finals esports, you're strapped in for a little while. There's going to be a long day ahead of you, whether you're doing well or doing bad. One thing they could do that I would be curious how that would work out is if they took a page out of what's going on over in Delta Force right now with the Rise series. So the way that the Rise series works is, first of all, there's a lot, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but the biggest thing is Delta Force is an extraction shooter, and it's sort of a hero shooter, right, where you have operators that have different abilities. We've seen this before in other games. The main thing that you can do is over the span of the set maps, which I think are like 7 normally for a split, or per day, your team can only run an operator twice. And then if they make it to the final map where there's a tiebreaker, that refreshes, and then you can run whatever you want for that final map. I would be curious if somebody could workshop a way to make that the case maybe with specs, at least. I could see a world where that works. It's like, oh, you want to go double mesh? Great. You can't use it for the rest of however set maps we're doing today. Whatever. Cool. It would be interesting.
I think that's interesting. I think the best way to do it though is kind of like what Youngie Cody said, where you make sure that there's no double for the specs, and that the bans are going to be towards weapons and gadgets. And I think one way that like you could kind of work it is you make teams lock in what they're going to be playing, whether it's HHL or HLL, before the bans happen. Because I do foresee a world where they're like, oh, we're going to ban, ban KS23 and then ban Shaq. But it's like this team was going to be running SA1216 double light anyway. So like those bans never really affected. So when you have some sort of like system where, we're going to be banning this and this, but it's like, oh, and next up, you're up against KCP. And unfortunately for you, T-Mills is the last remaining medium in the game. So
I love that, because then it's like, even the teams, everyone doesn't know what the picks are for the teams until like the bans are about to start. Oh, by the way, he's running this. And then let's say Envy's running triple light for some reason. Like, this is something you never see, ever. There's even that chance of like the throw off. The other team's like, oh, they're a double heavy light team. They're playing like triple medium or whatever. Like, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, I think one thing we've proven is there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of chances to experiment a bit. Shout out Tetra. Tetra's been working on Tetra's wacky formats. They're kind of impromptu tournaments where he's testing out a lot of different formats and things like that. Maybe this is a good option. Tetra, congratulations. You've now been involved to solve the meta problem. Good luck.
Yeah, get on that. Get us back with your report. Well, you guys bring up... Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we bring up experimenting, and I feel like, we're going to probably see it a lot after the end of the cycles, but even now, since we've been, done our pod, but even just in the past couple weeks, right? Even this past month, there's been a lot of experimenting with teams, right? We've seen a lot of switch up, a lot of surprises, and I think we got to talk about the first one, which is, you're the three amigos, right? Nightmare's new look. I don't know who wants to take that one, because I don't even know where to start.
I got you, baby. I wanted to yap about this one for a while. I had some little notes. There's some other fun stats down there. Lasagna's the one true neutral in this entire scene. Man is always on top regardless of how long of a break he takes. So here's the context, right? Nightmare, for those who are out of the loop for this. Grad and Lamp aren't on the team, right? They're on Luminon, back with Normalize. Talk about that later. So the Ed Boys are back, and they're on a different org now. But Nightmare now is still Lasagna. They have Stooge and Busy from the X-Envy lineup, and then after that, Three Amigos. Now on Nightmare, cycle through is their first cycle, and they won the entire thing, and it wasn't close. And so for context, top 16, first cash out match, they won it. Second cash out match, they won it. They were the first team to go through the top 8 in a not close set at all. So they won everything in top 16. Top 8, first in cash out versus Pulsar, Pioneers, and Defy. And then second round cash out, lost against Luminon, Pulsar, and Envy. But they got the revenge again in the second heat with the first place in cash out, and they beat Luminon again to top 4. And then in the finals, the finale, I guess, first in cash out, and then 2-0 versus Luminon. Like, they've just cooked everybody in this set. Like, Omega consistent cash out, good in threes, which I think even going to the TGM last year, Envy was like the team to win. Everyone's like, hey, Envy's great. You guys can do it. At least it's like one of the hopes of NA. Nightmare was like pretty up there, I think, but everyone had, me too, Envy on like the list. Like, these are guys to do it. Yeah. STN, Stooge, Busy looked fantastic in PHL, looked good in the Apes, looked good in everything. And so they're sitting 5th off their first cycle at 100 points. I'm like, that is, you win one, you can maybe just get into close quals. There is a world where they do get the golden ticket if top 4 absolutely mess everything up, and then Nightmare wins again. So there is a chance that this could also always change later. There's always a chance anyone could win. But no, I think to me, Nightmare's like now the team. It used to be Envy of like my pick of who can win the major, and right now it might be Nightmare again. Or I think if Luminon can fix a few things, I don't know, but Nightmare also just looks really good. Even in their first showing in comp in general. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, there is some, like, you kind of brought up another team, which is JSA, right? I mean, we saw Pioneers drop Slothy. And, I mean, we've even seen No Hours split up now, and they're all playing with different people as well. And, I mean, it is crazy to see how many rosters have swapped around. And especially for me, I feel like KCP, I think this is a team we've talked about quite a lot, Sam, and we echo a lot of the same thoughts. And, they've always been, when they were FYR Strays, they were the slowest team, but it worked for them, right? And we kind of felt, I feel like as the game has progressed, as people have gotten better, they don't really work as well in a lot of the newer metas. And it's kind of like Envy, right, with... now that they're in that double heavy, you've kind of noticed, right, they're struggling. Like, I think they kind of had a good time during that HLL, but now they're kind of just, it doesn't really work anymore. Whatever they were good at doesn't seem to have as much reward in this current meta or, other metas. But going back to KCP, right, is like, I did not expect ever for them to split up as a stack. Like, even if it wasn't working, it's just that team was so ingrained together. Yeah. And it's crazy to see. But yeah, I feel like, going into the future metas, they just, as the game has sped up, it's just, you can't really play that slow anymore. I mean, there's times, right? There's always a time where you can slow down and kind of repace yourself, reset, but you can't do that anymore. I mean, there's so many times they just play so slow and just, it's the death of them.
The thing is like, when we were in the poke meta, you could still like kite. But now, like, there's no real kiting that you can do because what are you going to do? Go behind a wall? Like, he's got a Bluetooth dematerializer. Like, you don't have a wall anymore. And, there's literally no way that you can do anything because that burst damage. And it's like, I think the real issue with the KS, the double mesh, double KS, is the fact that it throws the core gameplay loop of the finals on its head because there is just no counterplay, especially when then you're running away into an Invis Light who's on the angle. And it's like it's just so frustrating to play against for a lot of these teams that they just are retooling everything. And, I think that was kind of like my wake up call when I saw somebody in chat for the top 8 for EMEA say, I would rather be back in poke meta than this. And I'm like, that's an insane statement. But that shows where it is
buffing the
right
pike,
now.
200 damage a shot. We did it, Embark.
It got a buff.
Thank you
it
so
literally
much.
got one.
It got a buff.
I know. It's headshot damage, but I want more. Honestly, there's part of me that's like, bring the pike back in there. Give medium at least a fun toy to play with again.
They need players, something, man. They really need something. It's like, I feel like it's such a complicated fix for them at this point. Like, it almost, I feel like the class itself kind of needs a little bit of a rework because I feel like no matter what you do, they always at some point, somehow, some way end up back on the heal beam, just keeping the heavy up. It's just no matter what happens, that is where they end up, no matter what you do.
I brought a suggestion to Embark. And my suggestion
Don't bring back DMAT,
was
though, please.
to give the medium a little bit more sauce. And that is like, if you think about how they balance the light and the heavy, right? The medium is supposed to be the middle. And then everything else is supposed to be either better or worse in certain aspects. So for the light, you're really fast, you have a lot of movement, and you have no HP. And the heavy is you're really heavy, you have a lot more HP, and it's a big damage bursty weapons. But for the medium, it's like you're right in the middle. But that middle is no longer an identity, especially because it was always supposed to be a support class. But now that there's support on the heavy in terms of you have all of this shield technology that you could use. On the light, you just have all this movement stuff. You don't need a support character anymore. And so I was like, hey, the best way to do that, to kind of like re-solidify that for the medium, is if you're going to give the heavy more health, you're going to give the light less health, you want the medium to stay in the middle, he needs something else. You need to move off in a third direction. And that third direction, in my opinion, should be a 4th gadget slot. I genuinely believe that a 4th gadget slot would fix the medium class because it would give that support role back. Because you could have so many more options for the medium. Because a lot of people have been stuffed into, you run Goo Grenade, you run Jump Pad, and you run, and then you run defibs. And it's like, if you run Jump Pad and defibs, and then you use your Goo Grenade, like, okay, maybe you run something other than Goo Grenade, you still just only have one other thing. And so in order for the medium to kind of be in this role where it is a support character, you have to just have some extra util. And I mean, I don't know if that's what Embark is going to be doing, but I will say, when I brought that up, it wasn't treated like a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even scrolling through the list of gadgets. I'm like, hey, if they get a 4th one, what would be like the obnoxious OP
in this current meta? Maybe
running?
motion sensor, to be honest with you, counter light. I don't know. Because I mean, here's the thing, right? In the current meta, Cody, we'll come to you in just a moment. In the current meta, right, with Invis, that's the other side of the coin that people are complaining about, right? There are counters, right? Like I do see the Invis fans, and they do say there's all these counters, and you are right. But to Artie's credit, what do you get rid of for it, right? Goo's too good on medium. Like, if you are running the medium, you better be running Goo, or else people say you're
running
trolling.
light. It's not like you can easily throw on a sonar nade.
Well, you got double heavy with mesh, so what are you going to do? You're going to get rid of H+, you got to get rid of H+, or you got to get rid of glitch, and both of them are kind of necessary if you're playing light right now.
Get rid of gateway.
I mean, one of the heavies maybe can run motion sensor, I guess. I mean, it is on the class.
I just don't think motion sensor is a good gadget. I'm sorry, especially
think
when
so
it's
either.
like to counter lights. Like what you leave it behind you. You can't really throw it anywhere. So it's like, okay, cool. This one thing is covered unless he utilizes his XP54 one singular bullet. Then they get rid of it. Nobody heard the bullet. We're stomping around.
It.
Yeah, right. It's like I just don't think that it's a good gadget, even though it works on defense. It's not the counter to Invis Light.
Here's the thing too. It's been a long time. I shouldn't say a long time. The medium got the Chimera and the Shockwave, but not a lot of folks are using it. I'll put it this way: it's been a long time since the medium's gotten something that's had like mass appeal and like
Repeater.
comp I mean, even then, when was Repeater? What, season
6?
6?
It's when we started TFC. Was that season? That was one of our. That was the first video on TFC.
Well, season 6 was where Repeater was like, kind of introduced, but it was still Cerberus. Season 6 was Cerb minigun meta. Season 7 was where we started to break into Pike being viable, and then season 8 was Poke.
Mm-hmm.
I just like I'm even like, I think at this point you gotta give medium. Just give them some new, like, do the extreme route. Give them something so broken and so stupid it makes everything else be like, okay, things are possible to use. Or you have
I've
to
got
counter
it.
around that. Just go crazy done with the balancing and give Pike like 1 million damage.
I've got it. 4 more bullets out of the AK.
Yes, we have to take those away. We have to take
fixed
those away.
it. Medium
Oh my
is
God.
back.
only
Solved
if you
medium.
nerf the FCAR rate of fire by 10. You must.
By
Yes.
5. By 5.
Yeah.
We give the riot shield a projectile. He can throw the shield now through the shield bash.
you
And
can
one
spin it
shot's a
around.
light player.
I think that does solve the medium problem. It's we've brought them to the lake, but there's still T-mills around, so we need to throw them in the lake. And so now that we've taken 4 bags out, we're good now. Now medium is completely dead.
A third blade will fix the class. It's
think so.
triple
Oh my gosh.
blades.
Yeah.
I
There you
think
go.
you just give heavy fists and give the medium a really big gun. I think you just give him a big gun.
Yeah,
You know what's
I
also
totally
crazy to
agree with
think of? This is something that would completely change everything, and would not be very good, but fun to think about. This be an entire game balance decision of if they just made the ranges on the classes different. If the light was supposed to be up close and the medium was supposed to be long range and heavy's in the middle, but now that
Light doesn't exist
everything's
anymore.
now that everything's everywhere, or make the heavy like melee only or something, or some
I
sort of
think-
actual tank character.
That actually goes into what I was thinking of is like overall, right? I think this happens in a lot of games, as they go on further, is you kind of start to have to drift away from your original idea of what maybe a class or a character did. It happens in a lot of games like, right, for Overwatch or even Apex or even Marvel Rivals now, right? So many power creep, I guess is a word you could use. But conceptually, I mean, I think maybe what's really done a lot of, not necessarily damage, but that's the word I think of, is we have kind of drifted away from the original identities that these classes had, right? By giving light H+, I think it was cool at the time, but thinking about it in the long, grandiose terms of things is like, okay, yeah, that actually did kind of start a little bit of a slippery slope of like, now these classes are doing a lot more things than what they were originally intended to do or how they originally played. And I do think that's had some lasting repercussions that maybe has made balancing a lot tougher. And I'm kind of curious what you guys think if maybe we should try to go back to that. But the hard part is once the box is open, you can't put it back in the box.
I think part of that is the fact that like the game is played differently now, right? Like people have understood that there is like depth to this game rather than just I run forward, sometimes the wall explodes, sometimes it doesn't. Now that like the average player understands a little bit more about strategy, a little bit more about attack and defense theory, a little bit more about playing with your team, I think that it has changed why a lot of these balance changes were made in the first place. And that kind of goes back to like talk about the KS-23. The KS-23 released at 120 damage, mind you. And then it was nerfed 2 weeks later into 100 damage. And, that never once made it to where it's going to be less than 2 shots to kill a light. It's just that people didn't discover that it was good until later. Same with the H+ Infuser. When the H+ Infuser was first released, it was broken. But people still didn't discover that it was broken because they were playing in a different way. Lights were never playing with their team at that point. And then when comp happened and people were finally seeing comp teams play with their lights closer, more comp teams learned that. And then after more comp teams learned that, then the average ranked grind started to trickle down there. And so then we're like, oh, okay, I guess the H+ needs a nerf. And it's not because it like needed that nerf when it first came out. I think it was great when it first came out because nobody was using it the way that, to its full potential.
Being
and
able
that's
to
the thing
steal
about this
and just
game.
get healed fully. It's
Right, like that's the thing about a dynamism shooter is that it should be dynamic. And I think that, like you were kind of saying, when the box is open, right? I don't think that Embark should be scared of that. I think that at this point, I think that like we really should be at the point in the game's life cycle where we are seeing rapid balance changes until something feels phenomenal. Like, I don't care if they break something and then 2
Right.
weeks later they revert it, because I would like that experience. And I think that more players would be, kind of interested in jumping in.
Last thing I'll say, I think of this as well, where we talked about it. I still think there needs to be a pick ban. Like, even after all this stuff, I keep going in my head about like, maybe like extreme changes. I like the Embark should be doing more balance changes. Just period. There's not enough of those. I think they should be, and leading into like, this is a fucking crazy game show. Things are gonna change, or just rapid iteration balancing. Like, I just want to see that. But also, I do think, just a ban system would go a lot farther for comp and for ranked. At this point, we have so much stuff. You can ban whatever weapon. Let the lobby decide. You pick an item at the beginning. It chooses at random of all the stuff that people have picked, and it's just that's one thing you can't use for the rest of the matches.
Let's kind of take a couple weeks to discuss it, go over a couple different ones. But I think I'm kind of solid on that idea now. And guys, this isn't pre-recorded. This wasn't even like in our notes, by the way, for everybody listening at home. This is an organic discussion, and I think that from that, genuinely, I think that we should be looking into doing a ban system for the next PHL. I think that we should.
Definitely look into it. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I was going to say, everybody has said it. I think Artie, Young, you've already mentioned it. I think some people in chat are saying it. Like, Sam and I both realized, we were thinking about it like back when we started making content, we could make like weekly update videos. And part of me is like wondering is like, I feel like updates or balance changes have become scarcer, and I'm assuming that's because of the more competitive stuff going on. I think what do you
It actually
what is going on with
So
that? Because I genuinely think they need to make bigger balance changes, and I feel like that's been a
More
lot of where
often,
like
at least.
people are feeling burnt out, and I think it's because we do get that one update and it's something so minor, and I'm like, I just want them to just do something drastic every couple weeks. Like,
So
I feel like we need it.
If you look on Reddit or you look in Discord, there's a few communities in the finals that genuinely hate esports because they believe that the reason that Embark doesn't make balance changes is so that they don't upset the esports side. And I can tell you from my conversations with Embark that could not be further from the truth. The reason that the balance updates are so few and far between is because they do genuinely not want to have this rapid update that we all want. We all want rapid changes and rapid cycles of metas, but Embark wants to have the game in, I think, a stable state because it is from a game balance standpoint, from a game design standpoint, it's easier to have that, right? And so I understand why they want the game to be in that, but I think that as the game has matured, they need to realize that where it is right now and how the game has started to be played, how the pro scene is being played, how the ranked scene is being played, and how even the casual players approach the game is fundamentally different to how it was in Season 1. And I know that they're changing everything in Season 12. We don't know what Season 12 is going to look like or what those big changes are, but I really hope that it is going to be like more rapid balance updates because the fact that, like, I think that, just the game itself has so many different directions it could go in, and we wouldn't know what those directions are until we get something crazy. One of those crazy things is the KS-23 just being discovered, right, by players. Even though it's, I guarantee you, 4 extra damage does not change the KS-23 fundamentally from 100, but players have discovered it. And so there's nothing that Embark is looking at with like regards to esports and saying, okay, we're not making these changes because of esports. It's just how they had their guidebook from the very beginning, is that they wanted to just have only 1 or 2 balance updates per season. But I think that they should walk that back.
I agree.
I think on this topic, one thing that I will give Embark credit to on all of this, and then what I hope they lean into more, is actually respec order. I think when they finally did respec order for the first time and the most recent time, right? I mean, we got the dash change out of it. I guess I would assume that's where it came from, seeing as how we nerfed dash to 2 charges during the last respec order. Which, for those of you who aren't playing the game, right? World Tour, which is no longer World Tour, it's just called Cash Out in the game. Embark used it as a testing bed for a couple weeks, and they changed a couple things. They increased the health on light, decreased the health on heavy. They adjusted movement speeds accordingly with those health changes as well.
Dash
made
with
some
2
minor
charges.
tweaks, and Dash got 2 charges. There's been changes here and there. I think what maybe I would do if I were a developer, again, I'm not a game developer, so let's start there. But make respec order permanent, and then just every week, or maybe every 2 weeks at least, like iterate on it. Just go crazy. I mean, do whatever you want in World Tour and make it essentially a beta pool for what you're thinking, right? And keep going with that. The other side of this, if you're worried about doing iteration like that, have the pros play on a test client and do coordinated scrims and give them this, test balance patch that you're like, we don't know if it's good. I mean, whether you love or hate esports in the finals, fine. But what you got to at least give credit to is the pros play the game arguably the most at this point. And a lot of times they're also the content creators, and they can help express why changes were made more often than not. If you leaned into those more and you gave them like a test client, which we know exists with like TGM and things like that, do some coordinated scrims, spin up some private lobbies, have some devs in the observer slots, and you're like, all right, let's take notes. Let's like have a live beta test of this patch. Is the patch good? No. Get player feedback.
They should also
go like from there.
They should also send out surveys to like people who play ranked and are in bronze, people who play ranked and are in silver and are in gold. Be like, hey, are you available, this day and this day for 2 hours to play on these servers? Requirement: you're gonna play on these servers 2 hours. You get like a skin or something because you got invited. Like, and then they could get what that data looks like across every single rank and not just ranked.
I totally agree with
not
that,
just comp. I think it's so easy for them to do, because the thing about the finals community is everybody wants to be involved. Every single person that plays this game loves this game, and I think Embark needs to lean into that way more.
Yeah, I mean, you got.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
Go ahead, Tim. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say 2 things on that. I think that's a great idea. Though I guess from my take on the game dev POV, I talked to a couple of them too. Is not necessarily with Embark, but with other live service titles. Is there is a worry that if you too many changes too fast, you take away from the core experience that people know. Right? Not everyone's gonna be able to play all the time. Someone's gonna jump on and say, okay, I remember this from this feeling a certain way, or whatever, and there's this probable worry that if you change things too fast or too much, you're going to detract from the value that these guys have, their experience in the game. That said, I don't think I care about that anymore, and I want changes now. I think like it's been 3 years, and I think even on the comp side, or at least have a way, like, I don't know, like values for comp, like even in like different BRs, you have different drop rates for different weapons or armors, things like that.
Yeah, Apex
I wonder
does
if
that
it'd be
really well.
Yeah, Apex or PUBG or like anything like that. It makes me wonder if there's a way, even in just custom games, change the values of weapons or health pools, like the sandbox version of customs. Yeah, a pick ban system, which I think will take some dev time. I still think a pick or a ban system, not a pick system, like a ban system could fix a lot of things. I think it's generally good. Like,
doesn't
yeah,
hurt
you
to
ban a
add,
couple
I
things.
think. Honestly.
Yeah.
But I do think I'm just gonna double down Ember. You gotta change some stuff. I know it's been 3-ish years already for the game. I think you just gotta tweak a couple of things. Like, please, just every patch at this point, it can't just be the store update. There has to be something larger here to try and, like I already said before, find things that just make the game feel good and not like too oppressive. This double KS double mesh thing is old.
Because that whole idea of like, oh, we don't want to change the core experience is a fantastic argument if we are in a world where everything is viable. But like, we are in a world
we were
where
there, and I'm mad. We just got away from all that.
We were there. Well, I haven't seen the FCAR in years. I haven't seen the AKM in years. I haven't seen a medium player except for T-Bills, and I sought him out. I haven't seen poor guy. I haven't seen Grapple outside of Neon Guts and Casual, and it's like they keep buffing Grapple, and it's like I'm very happy. I want to see more Grapple in Pro League, and I've been telling pro players you're sleeping on Grapple because Vertical Escape is pretty good. But like, I think that.
For sure.
I think that Young is right. I think that it doesn't even have to be major. It's just got to be like, hey, every week instead of a store update, let's say this gadget or this weapon is the lowest picked rate thing. It's 0.1% pick. Let's give it some buff. Who cares, right?
This just comes back again to, I think that they should basically make it permanent respec order in World Tour because.
Yeah.
Let's even talk about, I think it was this past patch. What is it called? The dance floor game show event. Right.
Bust a Move.
Bust a Move. Hey, Bust a Move's back. By the way, only in TDM. What are we doing in Cash Out? What is I have crashed out about this. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I've been crashing out about Cash Out. Just the World Tour Cash Out mode. Because I don't see the point in playing it at all. Yeah. It is sweatier than my ranked games. I'm currently plat 2, I think, on the cusp of 1 or something. It is sweatier than my ranked games because they're skill-based matchmaking. I can't play with my friends who are new to the game. I've got a buddy of mine that's teaching me Apex, and I play finals with him in exchange. And it's like, he's like level 30, and I can't play with him. Like, he has the worst time at Cash Out because I'm playing against rubies. Like, I get commit every other game. Shout out commit. Love you. Please stop terrorizing my friends. Cash Out game.
I feel that. No, it's so sweaty. You have to be locked in. Right. I literally feel like I cannot play ranked unless I have an Adderall and a Red Bull. And it's like it's gotten to the point where I have started playing Tarkov again religiously. And it's like I would rather clock in a shift at the Lose All My Shit factory than play ranked. And that is like a very crazy thing to say because I hard quit Tarkov like 3 or 4 years ago. And so like the fact that I'm back to that now kind of shows the state of where ranked is right now.
Yeah.
It's ranked and base Cash Out. And it is like, I mean, it has gotten to the point, like Cody said, I mean, we literally had this realization just the other day. I was like, remember when we were doing YouTube and we would make weekly update videos talking about, oh, here's all the patch notes, here's what's changing, blah, blah, blah. It was like Headhunter was coming into the game. Oh, this week had, Bust a Move or whatever. Like, we don't even have that in Cash Out. That mode is just, when it is not respec order, is just, in my opinion, pointless to play right now. I get Emerald either way. Why am I even playing it? Let's just queue Point Break with 8 people and have fun playing that instead. If you kept it permanent respec order, and every week you're like, KS is 500 damage now. It literally shoots lights. If you hit them once, it sends them from Nozomi over to Monaco instead, and that's where they respawn. I don't really care. But if it's different in like a test bed to play things, and if you hate the patch this week, guess what? Just go play ranked. Same thing.
And you know what? One other thing that reminds me of is the fact that like, how long are we gonna keep things vaulted because we're just too scared to try out like ideas? Because rest in peace Recon Senses. There are people that have now been born after Recon Senses was taken away and start playing the finals now, and they never knew about Recon Senses.
And it's like GTA 6 before we get Recon Sense back.
Right, and it's like Thermal Vision got taken away years ago. At this point, I barely remember Thermal Vision, and it's like, I would be totally fine if we had like just a random test of like, hey, in this week in World Tour, we brought back Thermal Vision. Here's all the changes for it. If it works, cool. If it doesn't work, let us know. And like, oh, Recon Senses is back. Congratulations, But like, I don't know what the right answer is, but I think that every single issue that every one of us has with the game at this point is solved by rapid iteration. That's just it.
Yeah. Cody's has little Fingy up for a while. Coming up.
I do have my Fingy up because I do love the conversation we're having, and I think we could spend all 2 hours talking about it. But we do have so much more to go through. We have so much more ahead of us because things are getting to the point of no return for the cycles. We have finished Cycle 3. I think we should go over recap that because we're going to Cycle 4, and Young, you've already brought it up. Things are getting a little spicy in top 4 because one team of each region is going to get a golden ticket like they're Willy Wonka, and they're heading to the chocolate factory. That is TGM 26. So I think we should talk about all that. We should talk about what's going on in Cycle 4, what's going to happen after. I mean, there was a lot of upsets last year for TGM 25. We didn't expect Pulsar to not make it. They had to sign a new team. That was a huge thing that was crazy to see.
I cried real tears when they got
I
knocked
think we
out.
all did. It was it was unfortunate. I think it truly is beautiful though that Team Secret got to get in. And shout out to the twin brothers. I do love both of them. They're incredible people. But let's hope they can duke it out on the stage this year together, and we'll have to see the battle of the brothers. It's going to be like Arcides and
his other guy.
I can't remember the other brother. I'm
and
sorry.
Arcides' brother.
Pristini. Arcidi and Pristini.
Pristini.
Arcidi and Pristini.
I was like, who are we 1-0 against?
We're 1-0 against Pristini. Hold it there. But yeah, so I mean, I think we should all go over that. Young, I think you got a lot to say in regards to maybe some of your predictions and some of the cool stats. But if anybody wants to take it over for a little bit of a recap of Cycle 3, maybe we should talk about that first.
Yeah,
someone has to put their finger up.
Sorry, I was talking to Twitch chat.
I'm happy to talk about EMEA. I just finished casting that yesterday. It was super fun. We started that at midnight my time, finished at 6 a.m. Oh my god, I was loopy by the end of it. But it was so much fun. Shout out Jerry and Dianic. We had the very first team qualify for TGM 26, and that's not just qualified for the closed quals. That is straight up the mathematical truth that Five Fears is now in TGM 26 guaranteed. So Carney and Treason, they are back and ready to wreak havoc on the major. And, you know, I think that they're going to be actually not playing in Cycle 4 because why would they?
They don't want that money?
I think that they're going to be, I think that when we talked to Carney, he said that they wanted to focus on scrimming NA teams. So I think 5 Fears is going to try to put them up at a boot camp, see if they can get them over to NA and start building their empire for scrimming.
That's actually
I love that idea.
That's so sick.
Yeah, because they have some time now. They do not have to participate in, I don't even know if they are allowed to participate in open and closed quals. So they are...
Probably not, right?
No,
not?
if you qual, you wouldn't be playing it.
Yeah.
Done.
So, you know, 5 Fears is there, and everybody else in EMEA, well, now they know that the long road is the only option now. There's no fast option. So EMEA has been fantastic, but the competition has been incredibly fierce. Even through the Cycle 3, you know, crazy KS meta, there were a lot of adaptations that teams were making. Nagos was still running Winch and SA-1216, and he won with that. Winch SA-1216 beat out the KS-23 meta, right?
Maybe not so hot take. I genuinely think Nagos is probably the best heavy in the game. I think it's not a prank, it's not a joke. I think the way that he went from medium to heavy, he was the F-car guy. He only plays F-car, that's it. He's probably the best heavy in EMEA, let alone probably top 3 on the planet. Like, this is not like full glaze. I think Nagos is amazing. And let alone him, playing. There's 2 SA-12s I remember. It was Gremlin playing it, and then Nagos from EMEA top 8. So I think Nagos is fantastic. I'm happy for the boys. I messaged him like, hey, good job. And Treason sent me a photo of his face. So I was like, congrats for qualifying. No, I think 5 Fears deserved it. I think getting first and second in the first 2 cycles, and then that. I think everyone kind of already expected them to do well, so this is just kind of...
Yeah, they've kind of been the highlight, I think, of EMEA for quite some time. And I think that's a region that a lot of people talk about of, like, are they behind NA, or, like, what's kind of the gap there? I think a lot of people kind of think that there's a little bit more of a gap between, say, like, the top 4 teams compared to, like, if we had all top 16 teams, there's probably a pretty big gap there in comparison to NA. But, yeah, 5 Fears especially, I feel like, have just consistently been just a good team. And I'm, so happy to hear. Insane.
Yeah, I mean, 5 Fears got signed, and that roster got announced, and immediately everybody's like, that's the Juggernaut team there.
That team's crazy.
I mean, hey, just on the topic real quick before we move on to another region, right? Alliance as well, shout out them for getting back into the mix of things. They picked up Nigiri, Palma, and Cyborg. Looking good as well. I mean, Palma, obviously super talented heavy. Team looks pretty good.
He's blonde now.
He is blonde. I saw a picture of that on Twitter today.
I did
I
also
saw the
Caroline,
interview.
I was like,
I was terrified. I was like,
Somebody-
what happened?
Somebody in Twitch chat said Prime Palma, and I about lost my shit on the broadcast. He ulted.
Hey, that was the buff
Good
they
Super
needed
Saiyan.
from. Sorry, I had the notes from
Palmer's
fifth
gone
to
Super
second.
Saiyan. It's gonna be cool.
There we
He's gonna
go.
go on stage and he's gonna have super long hair and it's gonna be spiky. It's gonna be great.
Hell yeah, brother.
rip his shirt
But-
off.
But yeah,
I don't want
you know,
that.
they're looking good. They're looking stable. There's also just a lot more roster mania that's happening even now in EMEA. I think the EMEA's roster mania is even more volatile than it is on the America side of things.
Mhm.
And this is the last chance to do so because I believe that roster lock for open quals will be happening right after the cycles.
Mm.
And if there will be teams that finish cycle 4 with, points that give them that boost up into open quals, those teams that have that boost are going to be locked. They do not want to lose that boost. And so, because you get rid of the, those first open matches for the open qualifiers. And so I think that, roster lock is kind of coming very soon, and a lot of teams are feeling that. So roster mania is going wild in all regions, but specifically EMEA. I can't even follow it. It's so crazy.
It sounds crazy, and I can't even imagine, like you said, the minute that Cycle 4 is over, I think there's going to be this frantic rush to figure out what's going on, especially for those teams that didn't get the chance to get that extra spot in open quals or even close quals, and it's going to be it's going to be fighting. Everyone's going to be fighting for something. I kind of have a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna try to piggyback off that. It's like, man, if you barely scrape out a qual or cycle 4, man, I don't think you split up. I think when you're trying to do a major qualifier, you're putting a new team together, sucks to
that's the
suck if
tough
you lose
part.
out in cycle 4. But it's like, man, do you even try to rebuild at that point? I feel like it's not even worth it.
I've
In
had a
this
couple
game,
players-
chemistry is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a couple players I've talked to where they're like, I don't know what to do anymore because we're this far into the cycles, and I feel like I can't find anyone, and I feel like I might be just shocked. And I'm like,
Good
I mean,
plan.
there is going to be roster mania after cycle 4, but I do understand it. Like you said, chemistry, as long as you're working as a team, you might be making the wrong play, but we're still at that point in the esport where as long as you're doing it as a team, it does put you way ahead of so many teams. As long as you just have that chemistry and you play together. So, I mean, that is honestly a genuine question, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen. We might have to find out in the next episode of the pod. But I have a question for everybody real quick while we're moving through the recap, and we'll have to jump right back into our Cycle 4 predictions going into it. But, I mean, if you're 5 Fears, is there any sort of question are you kind of in a worse position if you qual early? Is there the worry of sizzling out a little bit? I think it's good that they're going to try to do that boot camp, go get those NA teams, but I think there is a worry of how do you stay hot if you've qualled so early?
I think
Scrims, man. It's just scrims.
Yeah. I think I would have been a little worried if I didn't, I didn't know that they were going to do a boot camp in America. So the fact that they are doing that, I think is going to put them leagues above where they would be. Just straight up. I think the fact that they, outside of maybe Alliance might do something, but there's not a lot of signed teams in EMEA right now, right? And especially teams that would have America's support like that to be able to do something like that, like 5 Fears will be able to do. 5 Fears is that is a massive leg up over the rest of the region because that's kind of been it, right? The intercontinental battle that has been the regions. Back in old PHL days, they would play on ping against each other for Champs Week, and that got done away with, I think, before Season 2 because ping just makes a big difference. People don't like playing on it. Scheduling's impossible, whatever. Them being able to scrim, at least online, against teams like Luminon, Unfazed, Pulsar, heavy scrim teams like that, Nightmare, that. 5 Fears now, I always thought that America's had a leg up over EMEA. 5 Fears now, if they are able to really take that time and be super productive during it,
That's going to be so huge for them.
that's a real threat. I mean, that is
excited,
they are significantly more a threat than I ever thought. And I already thought they were extremely good, but that's going to put them a whole nother caliber for me.
Yeah, I think the Carney Treason duo has always been solid. I think even during the Alliance days too. You kind of lost at 7th place, but besides the point there, it's always been those are the EMEA guys that are going to go far. It's like the last hope for the region most of the time.
Right.
The bigger question is, the consistency. I guess they've looked great this year, but I think there's an argument to be made about teams not hitting their stride yet. So much roster shuffling has happened, like Random Tongues, Tycho, Fake Cows, Skywalkers, ESD, like all these guys have made brand new lineups that haven't had really time to gel. We haven't seen a lot of them yet. It's hard to really say how far ahead is Five Fears compared to everybody else because we haven't seen all those other teams really play. I do think they have a very good chance this year of getting top 4 still. I think it probably should have happened last major as well for the Alliance stack, but I think if someone's going to do it, and for EMEA, I think it will be 5 Fears handily.
Yeah,
Makes sense,
it's a good
honestly.
point.
Yeah.
Well, we got 2 other regions to talk about. Let's talk about APAC now. I gotta be honest. Again, the only time I really get to see APAC is during the online cycles, and even then, it's like I think they start at like 3 or 4 a.m. Eastern time here in the U.S. So I haven't gotten a chance to really watch a lot, fellas. I don't know if you're up to date with it as much as I am. The current standings, right, is Haibu at 230 points, King Zero at 225, DRG at 200. I think that's a little bit of an upset, at least from the storylines that I've gotten from watching Top 8 when I can. I usually have to go to bed during halfway through it, roughly. But to my understanding, I mean, King Zero was pretty much the team, from my understanding, right? That they were the, arguable 1 seed of the region. But now that Haibu is up there at 230, I think that's a bit of a surprise. Artie, I don't know if you've kept up with it as much. I know you used to keep up a lot more with APAC during last year's competitive cycle. I mean, do you have any additional insight kind of beyond that?
Skip me for now. I currently am actually putting some orgs into touch with some. So,
Okay.
Just kind of
Yeah,
hot off the press right
It never
now.
stops.
Never
I'll
stops.
chip in a little bit. So some history for you guys, right? If we remember, for Haibu is one of those. I have the stats up my side here.
Mhm.
For actually all these teams, for Haibu, KZ, and Dirgy, they've finished top 4 in every cycle for APAC. So all 3 cycles, they've been Omega consistent, right? You have an OCE team that's not, they don't have a chance to get the golden ticket. 777 RS with Mogwasm, Ishay, and Very Serious at 110 points. Followed by 5th placed at 35 points, 4 a.m., another org. I think we have our top 3 APAC already locked in. Haibu,
Yeah.
we have some members from the previous FN Esports, like Myungten. I think he was just like, I think he was just the Revo guy, if I remember. I don't know. It's been so long since I've really tuned Omega into APAC. KZ, DRG, I think we remember DRG from last year. I think they've swapped up most of the roster. They have Boom, Shuai, and Dim, and then on KZ, Uki, Huli Rice, and Agan. So a few names we've seen, but the race for APAC is very close. Not as close as America's, but still very close heading into Cycle 4. But my guess is that we've seen our top 3, not just for the TGM slot, but probably the 3 teams that are going through to the major this year.
Yeah, I mean we've got. Insane. I was gonna say, I think Cycle 4 starts up next weekend, if I'm not mistaken, for Swiss for APAC. I don't think it was this weekend. I think it's next weekend, but don't quote me on that. I don't have the schedule pulled up directly in front of me, but I think it's next weekend that Swiss starts. So sorry if I got that wrong. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like APAC seems kind of cut and dry, but I guess we'll have to maybe see. I don't know. We do have one more cycle, but yeah, those point totals seem pretty cut and dry. I don't know. America's, though, I think it's something that we're all very familiar with, along with EMEA. But America's, right? I think that saying we always say is that literally anyone can win right now. Unfazed. Luminon on 155, so I guess they're tied. Pulsar at 140, Envy at 130, and Nightmare, like you said, at that 100. Young, I have a feeling you might have a lot to say about this potentially. I know you wrote a good amount of these notes.
I did. I'm going to try and keep mine brief because we got more to go with about 35 minutes on our time.
I am back now.
He's back.
That was a very rapidly developing situation.
Can you say everything that you just did in explicit detail to everybody on the live stream?
Yes. Okay, if you slow that down enough,
that
was everything.
He covered everything.
Well, here we can do this.
I'm
gonna toss this to Artie because he's back. Artie, talking about America's standings. It is tight up at the top. Really, Cycle 4, the unfortunate meme of anyone can win, still rings true.
Yeah.
So,
and
my big pie in the sky thing, if Nightmare wins and everyone else shits the bed and they get the spot, I'm gonna feel insane. But Unfazed Luminon. Unfazed, the only unsigned team in top 5 right now. Actually, top 6. Technically, KCP
Shout out
is in 6th
Unfazed.
place.
My goat.
Sugi,
I wonder
love
how
you, my
long they'll be
dad.
unsigned
My
for.
beloved.
Well,
We'll
we'll
have to
see.
see.
But yeah, Luminon and
We'll have to
FaZe are
wait and
tied. They are tied. The only way you're going to be able to get the golden ticket for any of these top 4 teams, most likely, is to just win the entire thing. So for Unfazed, Luminon, Pulsar, and Envy, right? Even if you're Envy, you're sitting in 4th. If you get first and Unfazed or Luminon gets second, they will then also be tied. Those 2 teams will be tied. Have to go down to the rule book of however they determine that. I think it's like most cycle wins and then like most finals appearances. I don't know.
Okay.
But either way, if Envy wins this cycle and Unfazed or Luminon gets second, those 2 teams will be tied. And then however that happens. So that's also a thing to look at.
Crazy.
Pulsar, 15 points behind. So same thing for them. A team that I think hasn't been like the most explosive lately. They've been consistent. Yeah, they've done well. There's some point in time earlier this year, right before they got signed, when they're still Team Reach was, when they were winning just kind of everything, and they were doing super well. They picked up Cafaneo, was looking good, and then I think it slowed down a bit. I think this meta shift kind of slowed a ton of people down.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
Artie,
Yeah.
for you, with all this nonsense in America's happening, like who's the team to kind of watch going into Cycle 4, or rather, we'll go around the room here as well. Guesses for how Cycle 4 is going to go. Artie, start with you. A lot of storylines.
I genuinely believe that there is a world where Young Guns pulls their act together and wins. Now, Young Guns behind the scenes has been going through some trials and tribulations, and I think that that will make them a better team for it because interpersonal conflict aside, Young Guns, they didn't get a chance for Cycle 3, right? There was a little bit of a weird situation there. And now that temp ban has subsided, I think that this team is hungrier than ever. And attention is kind of getting to the players. It has to be. But I think that that's why I'm really looking forward to them. Because if they can overcome all of that, and if they can get a guaranteed spot enclosed, that would just be insane. Mathematically, it is still possible if they win and if if Nightmare Envy, somehow don't. Right? It's going to be difficult for that to happen, but I think regardless, they're going to end up with enough points to be leapfrog in open quals. I'm looking at them. But the other one I'm looking for, honestly, is you kind of mentioned them already, is Pulsar. I think that this meta sucks for a lot of people. The fact that Llama was able to look the KS-23 in the eyes and pull out a sledgehammer says everything, right? It's like Llama on that sledge is a force to be reckoned with. And I think that because that team isn't scared to lean into other stuff, that has me looking at them as a team that is going to be able to kind of adapt to whatever happens, even if that adaptation isn't just, oh, everybody says this is the best. Oh, we need to play double match. We need to do like whatever. They can say, okay, this is what's happening. We'll do something else about it. And I think that that's telling of a team that has the chops to make it. I think they could genuinely win. I think that battle for first place could be won by anybody in the top 5.
Yeah.
And so top 8, I'm very excited and thankful that I'll be able to cast that. But it's going to be an absolute masterclass in just adaptation for all these teams.
Yeah. Sammer, same thing to you. Any kind of things going into America's final cycle? What do you think is going to happen?
Gosh, man. I mean, kind of the same. It can go any way. I mean, the anyone can win statement is
Anyone.
surprisingly
Not
more true
everyone.
than ever. It started as a little
Not
bit
everyone
as a bit,
can.
and it's become
Not
kind of a
everyone.
whole thing.
Not
Only
everyone,
one
that's
can.
important.
I mean, truthfully, but anyone can win it.
Not everyone.
Nah, man. I mean, gosh, on paper, like Unfazed was the team, right? Like I last cycle 3, I was like, Unfazed are taking it home, and that's it. We're gonna have a golden ticket punch, just like 5 Fears did last week, or yesterday, or whenever it was. My brain is cooked. And then we casted top 16 EMEA on PHL and Apes, and jumped over. We raided out to the finals mainstream, hopped in, and then chat's like Unfazed is out. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that cooked
In the
me. We
merge.
tuned in, and I wonder who's out first. It's Unfazed. Like, what? There's no
That
way.
was such
Yeah.
a crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, we had been talking to Sugi like the night before, and he gave us the whole absolute like Charlie Pinboard math of like, here's what could happen. We could punch our ticket here, blah 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 blah.
Here's the
and
line,
then,
here's the
I
line.
get in, and they're like, oh, they're out. I was like, huh? I was like, what do you mean they're out? So, I mean, I don't know, man. Listen, I'm a Luminon believer, Team Ed believer. I think that we've said it, right? Chemistry, team vibes, all that stuff have gone a long way in the finals esports. I think that is true. I think the teams, for the most part, the teams that have stuck together with minimum changes have done well. I think we saw a huge shift in kind of Nightmare / Team Ed when Normalized went from Unfazed over to Team Ed with Lamprograd once Lamprograd left Nightmare. We saw that already kind of start to cook, like almost immediately. And the current meta makes things a little bit interesting. I don't really know what to pinpoint. I would say, my heart tells me just put Normalize on Revo. Just bring out the medium. Don't be afraid. I think that they have played better with it, but don't quote me on it because the scrim record probably shows differently. That team is just like, Lamp is somebody that just at the helm just has another caliber thinking to him. I love watching. I lurk in his stream all the time when they're just scrimming. The guy's comms, the way he strategizes. I mean, heck, even the way that he carries himself with eating sardines to give himself energy and mental clarity before scripts. The guy is
I love talking to him.
calculated.
He's
so sick, yeah.
Dude, he is so calculated with everything he does. And I respect that a ton. And I really think like a team that can figure it out, not saying that they haven't yet, my bet is on Luminon. Just going into this, I just really think with time in the kitchen, they'll be able to cook. Even if they don't punch the ticket, I think they're going to have a really strong close quals run. I think if they're able to get to TGM and they run it back on that same stage as LAN Experience on a roster that already did so under SSG last year, I got a lot of faith in this team. I think that they really just have it together. It's just maybe needs slightly more time in the kitchen. I don't really know, but that's where I'm going. Cody, how about you?
I mean, I'm kind of with you in the sense of like Luminon. I mean, that team is doing impressively well for not playing with each other in quite some time. Like they snapped back like a puzzle piece. It was kind of insane. But I really do, in my heart and my soul, like I do have so much love for Unfazed, and I would not only for the players, but like I said, the coach Sugi. Right? I mean, we've talked to him so much. As is, I think, someone that we've championed for quite some time. Is just an incredible player, and hopefully they make the distance, right? I really want that more than anything. Is I want to see Unfazed. I feel like I trust all of these teams. If they don't make it in here, they're gonna make it in. Knocking on wood. They're gonna make it in. I think this is pretty safe to say. It's just who's gonna get the easier time. But I mean, we know that like that stack Luminon, they're gonna make it in regardless. They went through the hardest battle ever in TGM 25 quals, and they still made it in. So I have zero anything like that team's going to make it. It's pretty cut and dry for me. Envy though, I mean, we've had so many conversations about that team, right? It's just, I don't know if they have their bread and butter right now, and I don't know if they're going to get it. I feel like right now it really depends on what happens with the game's meta and if they're going to have a good time. But as already said, right, I think they kind of feel a little burnt out, to say the least, and I think there needs to be more energy from that team for anything to kind of really snap back into place there. Nightmare stack is doing good as well. I think America's is crazy, and we are going to find out very soon. But let's go over just a little bit more of EMEA, and then I say we go into our TGM prediction, which I think will be the most fun. And I also want to kind of cover, right, maybe Auntie's Goo Boys, which is a team that all of us know and love very well. But yeah, so teams in EMEA, they're on the cusp, right? And we have Tycho's hot and cold performance, which I feel like even in like Ape Squad Classics and PHL, they always have felt very hot and cold to me. I don't know what you guys think.
I think that there's no world that Taiko doesn't just get their closed quals in. I think that they guarantee themselves in a closed. I think Alliance, of course, they're going to be enclosed. I don't know if Fake Cows are going to be able to kind of go up. I think this meta was great for them. I think that this meta was really, really good. I think that there's a world that Special Force come back with a vengeance and somehow leapfrog.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I think for Tycho, I think my big guess is we'll see Alliance Tycho. I think Fake Cows will actually qual. I think for me, even looking at the stats, Cycle 1, 7th place, good start. Cycle 2, 5th. Cycle 3, 3rd. If we're going off for that, they're going to win the next cycle. If we're going, no, we're taking 2 off each time. So Fake Cows winning Cycle 4 has been confirmed. I think they're looking like a top 5 team in EMEA, right? They've struggled pretty, I would say, bad in their 3s. Their cash out's been pretty good. I think their 3v3s, needs a little bit of work. I think they've looked a lot better throughout the year. Teams like Random Tongues, though, right? The Roma, Dairani, Kireki stack. They didn't play in Cycle 1, but they did play in Cycle 2 and 3, and they're sitting in 4th place right now. So that's also great for them, missing a whole cycle and still being top 5.
Right.
I think they're gonna probably qual as well. I think, I'm not worried about Tycho, for example. I think it is the consistency. There's like a couple teams that are just mega consistent in every region. I don't know if Tycho is there yet. I do think teams like, and Skywalkers as well. Yeah, Million, Q, Petrick. They're looking for a coach. They got back-to-back 7th places in Cycle 2 and 3. Again, there's only 5 more slots for EMEA at this point, right? 6 teams can make it at TGM, so they got to try and kind of bump that down a little bit if they can. I mean, even for... It's such a crazy time right now, because even with all the roster shuffling, I really don't know who is, like, locked in. I think for any region, right? I think for Americas... That top 5 is probably all going to qual. I'm be honest. Unfazed, Luminon, Pulsar, MU, Nightmare. I think all of those guys will probably qual for TGM. The bigger question mark is that qual cutoff. Yeah, KCP sitting in 6th right behind it. I think most of these guys will go through. You know what? Actually, Cody, you next, because I think after that we can segue into AGB. After that.
I mean, outside of, I think you already covered everything outside of like Fake Cows, right? Unless you already talked about that. I wasn't sure. There was so much information overload, but
yeah, no, I was my take was Fake Cows is going to qual for TGM. I think they're improving, getting more points every cycle. So to me, it will be close. I think there might be some absolute demon open quals teams that make it through, but I think Fake Cows, if they can lock in their final rounds a little bit, I think they're chilling.
I mean, for each cycle, I mean, if you're looking at the pattern here, right? Cycle 1, 7th place. Cycle 2's 5th place. Cycle 3's 3rd place. So in Cycle 4, they should finish first if you think about it. They've been cutting down the place by 2 every time, so I think it's more than possible. I think we should talk about Anti-Sku Boys, because I think it's such an interesting conversation, and a lot of people have brought it up. Is they started as a double heavy light team, and now we're in a double heavy light meta, and somehow, some way, as I always say, they are struggling in this meta. Why? I mean, what's going on? Have they been downloaded?
It's genuinely just that KS23 eats goo.
Okay.
Like, full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop. KS23 eats goo, and a lot of their strat has relied on cheese. And I love AGB.
Yep.
It has been a cheesy thing from the start, and I think that they do have room to retool it. I think Oppo is a great force for them to be able to kind of like figure that out. But I think that it's less that they've been downloaded and figured out, and more that they happen to be in a meta that is better suited against what they've been doing, and also people understand what they do. So it's little column A, little column B.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, to me, I did see a little bit of a downward trend, and don't get me wrong, I genuinely love this team. I think they're incredibly fun to watch, and I think without teams like this, I think the finals would be a lot more boring, right? I mean, you need people that are constantly experimenting and pushing the envelope, and they're one of those teams that have been doing that since day one, and they don't always get the most love for it, and so for them to continue and keep on doing it is great. But I feel like there was a little bit of a downward trend even before this meta was a thing. I do feel like they started really hot, and they did kind of fizzle out towards the end. And I mean, maybe the conversation's there that people did start working around them, or do you think that was more of an execution on their end? I mean, do you think they're just not playing maybe as perfectly as they should?
I think they've gotten to the point to where they're kind of in their own heads about it, right? They're in their own heads about, like, they need to keep doing this strat, they need to keep doing this, make the nest of the cash out. But the issue is that they haven't been able to put themselves on the defense yet.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because they're going into these fights relying on the goo gun. I think that they just drop the goo gun for going into the fights. They don't really need to think about it as much, or they position themselves better. I think that they could just start bum rushing cash outs and go to the cash out and not take the vault fight I think they tried that a couple times, but I think that they should try to like retool it some way where they're not putting themselves at a disadvantage just to try and get the cash out up in a nest.
Yeah,
but
it does feel like
on
that's
the
kind of
other-
their go-to in every situation. It's like every situation, that's the answer for them.
Yeah, I think like use the goo to build a perch for to get Kitty Killer up on a sort of
Yeah.
ledge where he can get a nice angle, right? Why are we not experimenting with also goo flamethrower? Like if we're not going to be running the double KS, then go crazier, right? If
Yeah.
there's no chance that we're doing the double mesh double KS thing, that's fine and dandy, but you're already going crazy. Just go crazier, upgrade Auntie's Goo Boys to Uncle's Goo Girl. Ooh, whoa, we gotta not do that.
Let's
one.
walk that
Luckily,
one
this is on the
back.
pod.
Let's walk
Yeah,
that one
we'll
back.
walk
a
that
little
one
bit.
back. I was gonna say too. I know this might sound crazy. This might actually be a hot take. Thank God it's towards the end of the pod. I actually feel like Akazu maybe isn't using the Goo Gun as fully as you can nowadays. I think he's a little archaic with some of the strats. I've seen people with Goo Gun like hit people on pads and then stall them so they die in the void, and I'm like, I've never seen Akazu do that. What's going on? Why is
We were watching. I think it was Aim Point. Sam, you and I are who?
Yeah,
who's-
it was
who's Aim Point
Aimpoint, and
playing on?
I'm literally on Wikipedia because I can't remember their name right now, like what their team name was. And I'm looking
either way,
right now,
there's-
so I'll have it for
we're
you in a
watching
second.
Aimpoint, one of the goo heavies, and Amiya. And Guy plays like a little bit around the objective, but he uses it for like using it for the fight and like using it like
Yeah.
in the middle of the fight, like for like stalling,
Yeah.
building shit around him. Like, okay, we're singling out this one dude, and the other two already blocked out, so we kill him and say, well, yeah, there's ways to, I think, make it more like a
Like almost like a
combat focused
nullifier
thing.
almost. Yeah.
In
He's-
a way, but
He's
Sam,
the
go ahead.
sub on Sleeper build. Sorry, I
That's
just
what
got
it
there.
was. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, Aimpoint, I was going to say the same thing, right? That I think maybe it's how the Goo Gun is being used, right? The way that the thing that we praised about AGB, especially in PHL, I would say pretty much was a lot of that was they were very methodical with how they use things. Like Artie said, maybe cheese, but it was kind of a set thing they were going to do every single time. That was kind of obvious, right? They're going to Goo Cocoon with Pyro Mines and C4 inside. Then they kite. They use Grav Cube to stall it out. They have a Kazo detonating the C4 or Oppo, whichever one's running C4 in that comp, to detonate the Pyro Mines, which detonates across the goo. Like, it's all very systematic, right? Very obvious. This is exactly what's going to happen when you put it on paper. The way Aimpoint was playing is, using goo, not spamming it. We really never saw a Goo Cocoon on the cash out. Instead, it was a lot of times, at the feet, just a couple pieces for head glitches to create a lot of more aggressive angles, or blocking off doors with it that would cause people. I remember it was on Vegas where he was gooing off the vents where the zip lines are inside the casinos, and people would try to take the zip to get out of the fight because they realized where they were at and they couldn't get out. They were just stuck looking at him as he's just beaming them down. And I think maybe it's, if you were going to continue with the Goo Gun on the Goo Boys, I think you got to adapt the playstyle a bit. And this is something that I think we said even when they were having a lot of success. Even Apo said it, right? That they were such a defensive heavy team. Cody, I think they told you, like, they were looking to work on their re-attacks. This was during PHL regular season. There were flaws with what they were doing. The problem was, or not the problem, but what was working well for them was the fact that people hated it so much that they wouldn't scrim them. And for the longest time, they were like, we're just not going to scrim, right? We'll blacklist it or whatever, and we'll just ignore it. And then finally, it became such a problem to play against because they were doing so well that, they were like, fine, we'll start scrimming. And then some teams started to download them, teams like KCP and stuff. We started to see kind of a little bit of a decline, like you mentioned, in placements and performance out of the Goo Boys. But like Artie has now said, with the new meta with KS eating goo like it does, I mean, the barricades also are not long for this world when you got a KS shooting at them as well. Like, that doesn't really help you a lot anymore. I think if you're going to keep the Goo Gun in the mix, right? Like, Akazo's the Goo Gun guy, at least in Americas. We know that that's probably going to stay. I think you got to maybe take a page out of Aimpoint's book and start looking at how you can use it more in a fight rather than as just a tool. Like use it basically as another gadget.
If they combined
you.
both, like, their defense, I think, is still really great. I mean, maybe they need to not do the same thing every time because it does get predictable and teams can kind of work around it a bit. But I think combining their really impressive defense skills with, like you said, using the goo gun a little bit more actively and not just like, hey, I'm going to do this, for now and then worry about it later. Yeah, I think that would bring them a lot of success. I do want to go into kind of the next topic because we are running out of time a bit. We got like 14 minutes left. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, 1 second. Before we move on, Young, I saw, did you have one more thing you wanted to jump on real quick?
I do have one more AGB point,
go
which is
for
a
it.
fun little number for y'all. So AGB hasn't had the best track record in the cycles, right? You got 25 points so far. For them to be able to stay alive and keep 9th place, Defy is only 10 points behind them in overall standings. HB is in 9th, Defy is in 10th, 6th through 9th. Nice, go through to open quals, some advancement down through that. So if Defy has a much better day, which they got 15 points in the last cycle, not too bad. If Defy has a pretty good day and they're a new team as well, and they beat out AGB in points for cycle 4, if they get at least 10 points more than AGB, they will bump them out of that spot. So more stuff to play for.
I will say, I don't know to the extent what that boost in open quals is. I think it's just you get a buy round. I feel like, but even then, it's still worth fighting for, right?
Sure.
And so, regardless of what that is, whether it is a buy round or 2 buy rounds, I think that, the 6th through 9th is mostly just going to be for also getting sold to org, right? Because a lot of orgs are looking at the finals right now and looking at teams that are unsigned, looking at, hey, we like EMEA, but we want an American team. So, who's left on the America side? Oh, it's just, Unfazed. I guarantee you they're fighting off, offers from so many different places. Dark side, maybe there's going to be some Latin American orgs. I know Loud has wanted to come in, right? And so, they're, I think, kind of in their own bubble. But, Young Guns, Anti-Goo Boys, to have their set, but at the same time, there is still room for anybody to come in and get a 2nd, 3rd, 4th place at Cycle 4 and be, hey, orgs, look at the top 9 teams where we are. Just saying. And so I think that there is a lot more to this than just what it gets you for TGM, and that teams who are looking at oh, well, we already aren't going to be able to make it into the closed quals, so why bother? I think that there's a lot to bother for,
Yeah.
So there's a lot going into this, but are we going to talk about APAC at all? Can I shill my boys on Hanabi?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Yes, go ahead.
Haibu are pretty much going to make it. I think Haibu have this in the bag. There is, of course, some upset with both KZ and DRG with some recent roster stuff we won't get into. But on the APAC side of things, I think Hanabi are gonna do it in Cycle 4. I'm all for Team Mame. I want my Japanese boys to make it. But APAC has been interesting to watch. APAC is developing as a region. They are watching a lot of tape. A lot of teams at APAC have told me they watched PHL. When is PHL coming to APAC? We want, we're learning. We're trying to be like Americas. I was like, EMEA has been trying to be like America's, guys. You gotta go. You gotta try. Let's baby steps. But no, I think the APAC has teeth this year, and it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, we breezed a little bit through APAC, so definitely want to pick your brain already because again, last competitive cycle, you were the APAC guy. I mean, I think there was no question. You kept up the most. You kind of knew what was going on. I'd argue even now that's probably still the case. Definitely knows way more than I do. We were talking earlier. You mentioned Hanabi, right? Haibu as well, right? I thought King Zero was kind of like the 1 seed coming into all this, right? I thought that was the powerhouse team, but now Haibu is above them. Is that like a true upset? Can you help give me a little more context, at least, on kind of what's going on?
The context is, right, KZ and DRG, they are from China, and the Chinese teams have a slightly different version of the game, right? They have more active servers, a different version of the game. They are on a different level competitively. But if you look at Haibu, you will recognize those names from TFNL and from the Korean Finals League.
Right.
Myungtan has been playing competitive finals since the very beginning in Korea. And the Korean teams do have a little bit of that edge of being around for longer. Whereas the KZ and DRG guys, they've played different competitive esports. I think it was Hui Lee Rice who actually played Crossfire competitively, and that helps quite a bit. But for the guys on Haibu, they come from like competitive Overwatch, and they've been in the finals since season 1. And so being in the finals since season 1, they've had a lot of time to develop that. And so I think that the fact that they're able to have leapfrogged over some of the Chinese teams shows how strong Haibu is, and especially because the fact that they are watching tape from Americas and trying to learn from them as much as they can.
Yeah. Only thing I'll say, even TGM last year, nobody that I know of expected APAC to even get close to top 8. The fact that they almost made it, and DRG with a sub almost made the top 8. I'm tempering expectations for APAC this year still. I think NA is still looking very hot.
Yep.
But I would love to see one actually get through at least to top 8 this year.
I think APAC top 6. Yeah. I think we'll see an APAC team top 6.
I can agree with like something Artie said as well, that they've been watching a lot of tape, because again, I only usually catch the first half of the top 8 broadcast. Now again, shout out OFL, they're providing top 16 coverage like Apes and PHL have been. So there's a little bit more to go off of than there was, I think, in Cycle 1. I don't even know if OFL did Cycle 2. I think they started Cycle 3, but I might have that wrong. But week over week, at least the top 8 for what I've been able to catch, there is vast improvement and a lot more. Like Cycle 1 was like the Wild West. We were watching that, and I remember a couple of us were on the call. We were like, "What is going on? What is happening on the screen?" There was everything under the sun, and that was the world's greatest game show happening in those lobbies, because there was just, you didn't know what anybody was pulling out next lobby. Then Cycle 2 and 3 started rolling around. Things have gotten a little bit back to form. It's a little more predictable. So yeah.
And that is because they went first. They didn't have anything to watch on PHL. And so, some of the teams that watched PHL, like, for example, Hanabi, back then just Team Mame, they did their best to bring some stuff, whether or not it worked or not. It was kind of a little bit rushed. But now that they've had some time to like settle in and be like, okay, let's watch these official broadcasts. Let's watch the PHL coverage of the top 16. Let's watch the official top 8 and get that full breakdown. That's why you've been seeing that progression, is because teams have been way more active in seeing, okay, the official finals account is showing esports. Now we have something to learn from. Because, before it was the Wild West, because they were going off nothing. They were just going off of vibes.
Like being able to find old you get to look deep into Billy and other sites to find anything like pre TGM 25. So the fact that now you can actually see the differences. Cool to see grapple still being used in some way, but I think that's going to probably be a shootout if this meta keeps continuing. But Cody, we got like 5 minutes, and I need some other stuff you wanted to mention.
We're going to go really quick through everything. We're going to give one team you think is going to make it through open quals, and one team that you think is not going to make it at all through each region. I'm going to give you a moment to think about it. One quick moment. Remember, one team that's going to make it through open quals, all right? We're not talking about those top 5 teams, just some on that lower end. Who do you think is going to make it through open quals? One team you want to champion from each region. And one maybe upset, right? Who's kind of like this team that maybe won't make it through? I would prefer if you guys try to choose like a dark horse a little bit for those teams that go through, but I know it's a little hard because there might be someone that just shows up. Tech-Source Gaming style.
Young Guns is making it this year. Young Guns at TGM. I'm putting money on it. I
want that so bad. I want that.
I think that would be so cool. Are we all champion?
I wasn't say young, because I think my guess of the top 5 being locked in is still going to happen. I think Unfazed, Luminon, Pulsar, Emmy, Nightmare for America is probably going to make it. I think those are pretty shit in. KCP, I have a question mark about them. I mean, they probably also are going to, but there's also times where it's like, man,
I feel like Dark Side might lock in. That team has been surprising me a lot.
I think that the 2nd through 5th, Luminon, Pulsar, Envy, Nightmare, I think one of them is going to have a bad top 16.
Ooh.
I think that there's going to be, because the top 16 coverage, which is going to be on PHL at Ape Squad in 2 weeks' time, August 22nd.
Do you think someone's playing the points game? Do you think someone's going to take somebody out?
Absolutely.
I think that there's going to be some.
Absolutely.
Because remember, there are 6 teams here that all want other teams out. There's only 4 teams in cash
I think
out.
Envy's gonna go
Right?
through the ringer again.
There-
That's my guess.
Yeah. There's a real world where there's a game of cash out that is played in the lower bracket that has nothing to do with winning. It has everything to
100%.
do with targeting. I think that's going to happen. I think
I
the
think
top
it's gonna
16
be
is
Envy.
going to be
I
Wild
really
West.
do. I think Envy's kind of been thrown in those positions quite a lot already, and I think they're gonna go through it again. That's my
It's
take.
either that or somebody in that second through fourth spot. It's me, Luminon, Pulsar, Envy, unphased, trying to keep
I mean, we
out
could
the
repeat
close call
history.
bubble as much as they can.
Illuminati just get sent to the ringer.
I don't.
I would.
I'll say it for
It
Sam. Go
would
ahead.
be on brand. I'd hate to say it.
It would be.
Yeah, I'm with the masses. I think America's we're all a bit on the same page,
Yeah.
right? I think the dark
think
horse is Young
America's
Guns,
is-
if you even call it that. But I think the dark horse is Young Guns. I'm with you. I think they are a team that has not been written off, but every single time continues to impress more and more. The cash out game, obviously, people hate playing against it. I mean, they must be doing
When
something right. That's the
they-
case.
When they finally beat Envy in a 3v3 and the entire internet broke a little bit, that was
Yep.
pretty crazy. Granted, there was a bit of a winch bug. Won't talk about it. It's okay. The no-reg winch, we don't even need to mention
It's
that.
the game you're playing, I guess.
But either way, the
Yeah.
fact that they beat them in a threes match is like Envy's a good threes team. Like there's no doubt about it. And Young Guns, it's like the Fate Cows effect or like vice versa per region where you just
Mhm.
can't really win in threes if you're that team. Finally, they did it. And it's like everyone's like, oh shit, this is a real team now.
Yeah.
I will say for EMEA, Fate Cows, I think will make it. They're on the cusp of like, okay, we're finally in that top 5 area. Couple things to fix. I think some teams are just way too good. I think it's the problem. I don't think Fate Cows are a bad team. I think teams are just very good. I think it's a big problem.
We're talking.
But
Sorry, go
that's my thing for EMEA. I think Fate Cows will make it. My question mark is Tycho, to be honest. I think they probably will statistically make it through to TGM. I just have this looming thing over my head of teams that are very hot for a little bit and then not so much. And Tycho,
Especially during quals, that's
yeah.
like when it comes up. Okay, so really quickly, let's just say it all for EMEA. One team you think is going to make it through open quals, and one team you think might get upset. Say right now, Young, go for it. What do you got?
Americas, I gotta say Young Guns, and then from against through,
Okay.
and then I think KCP for getting upset.
Okay, and what about EMEA? What about EMEA?
Fake Cows is my pick of that kind of mid-pack team to make it through.
Okay.
I think Tycho is all lock
If
it in
you
for a
you
team
don't
that might
have to speak on
hard
APAC,
time.
but you're welcome to if you'd like.
No idea. Not a clue.
Team
I
Hanabi!
think-
Team Hanabi!
Sure.
I
all right.
want to see an OCE team make it. That's what I want, though.
Okay.
I want one
I think
OCE team to
Yeah, I
make it.
want one
I'm with
OC
that.
as well.
All right, Sam, give me your America's choices.
Man, there's a lot of teams here. Okay.
Who do you think is going to get upset? Who you think is going to make it through?
I think Envy's the upset.
I'm with you.
I think this meta has completely shattered them.
Yep.
I think the passion might not be there. I'm just gonna be honest too. Like we mentioned earlier at the top of the show, Gremlin's playing a lot of Deadlock. I've heard rumors of other players on the roster going to other FPS titles. I don't know if I just don't know if the passion's there. I'm just being honest.
That's your upset. Who do you think is going to take it home?
Oh my gosh.
Quick.
Tough one. Sorry. I'm going scripted. I'm
All
going
right.
scripted.
Hell yeah.
I'm going scripted.
Team scripted.
I-
Navy Street
our
mentioned.
guess.
Sable
And
Navy
Navy
mentioned.
Street
Stream
mentioned-
mentioned Sable, Zenith. I think that this is a team
guys.
that's putting in the work. I don't think they have a rap to their name where there's going to be a points manipulation or any other game hitting them that I think they can fly under the radar and make it through. Right?
My
I don't
goats.
think anybody's
My
got
goats are
hit
gonna
on
make it
them. I don't think anybody's
My
got
goats are
hit
gonna
on
make
them.
it happen.
Yeah. So, because I think Darkseid, I think people are going to grief out Darkseid. I'm just being honest.
Okay.
The Kusanagi
right,
squad,
quick
man, people
EMEA.
do not like cash out. Okay.
You're such a yapper. Quick EMEA.
All right,
Quick,
I'm
quick,
sorry.
quick.
All right, EMEA.
Gosh, it's like we're on a podcast.
I think I don't know if this is an upset, but it's my upset at least because of a couple of reasons. But ESD is my upset, and that is the Someone Duffy Elix group. Why did we break up Not So Secret? What's going on? Why did we do that? I don't get it. Makes no sense. And I think one of the two brothers are not making it into Elix. I'm just being honest. I don't
just-
get it.
it's
It was
statistically
the biggest
inevitable.
head scratcher thing I ever saw come across the Twitter timeline. Was him
I've
saying
never
LFD.
seen two brothers at TGM. I've never seen two brothers at TGM.
Man,
It's a known
I'm saying.
fact. All right, well, Artie. Oh,
Wait,
yes. Are you
sorry,
finished?
the one
No,
going
go ahead.
through. Sorry, the one going through. Sleeper build. I think Game Point's got something going with the goo
Okay.
gun.
All
He
right,
looked impressive.
Artie, America's.
America's, I think that there's a world where Envy gets targeted and that they don't make it to the top 8. And I think that leaves a gap where KCP quals into the top 5, and I think that Young Guns also quals up into the top 5 if they win. It is a 1 in a million odds. My Kalshi is gonna go insane. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Legal reasons, that's a joke. But genuinely, that is a valid scenario that happens, and it's gonna be nuts to see if Envy gets targeted, doesn't make through top 16. For EMEA.
Yep.
I think that there is a world where Random Tongues or Fake Cows, one of those two teams, drops the ball, doesn't make it out top 16. I think that one of those teams is going to either get last place in top 8 or not make it to top 16. I think Skywalkers is the team to watch. I was just watching Skywalkers in pure awe during the top 8. Emilian and Q and Petrick going nuts. There was a game where I think it was either Q or Petrick, one of the players on that team, went 11-0. And I just think Skywalkers is one of the most slept on teams in EMEA right now.
And they're looking for a coach.
And they're looking for a coach.
Who wants a coach?
Looking at APAC, Hanabi all the way. I'm drinking the Japanese juice, which happens to just be a Chuhai at minus 196. But I'm rooting for my boys out there.
Okay. Umyo spotted in chat, by the way.
Oh,
Umyo!
Hello, Umyo.
Let's go. All right.
Just to shout this out real quick. Empiric says, Team Scripted and Young Guns, renamed to Tung Sahur Guns, will be the TGM 26 first and second places.
I think that's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Very cool twist, chat.
I'm
Very
hearing
cool.
that.
All right, real quick. My Americas, I think I'm going to agree with Envy, is going to have a tough time. I don't know if they're going to make it. I am going to say, I think Team Scripted as well. I got to go from my boys. They're gonna persevere somehow. They're gonna be the greatest of greats. EMEA, I might go Tycho here. I'm a little worried. I don't know. It's a little scary, but I think Sam brings a good point that Team ESD, I don't know why we split up Not So Secret. I know we were having some times, some rough times, but I don't know if we should have split that group up. That was pretty crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But nonetheless, does anybody have any quick things they want to say before we wrap the show up?
Nothing besides
thanks for having
Psycho
me.
4. Yeah, thank you, boys, for letting me already be on here. Psycho 4 gonna be a banger. America's, I don't know what to expect at this point.
Yeah.
Someone's getting the golden ticket. If my nightmare, parlay works, oh my God, I'm gonna be $1 richer. But other than that, it's gonna go big. But happy to be on the return of the pod, fellas. It was really fun.
Yeah, fellas. I mean, I'll jump on and say the same thing, that I don't know if this is going to be a weekly or bi-weekly or what the return of this pod looks like, and that strictly just comes from everybody's casting schedule and availability. It's how it's been. Again, look us up on Liquipedia. You'll see where we've been. We've been busy. What I will say, my final scent real quick on a casting note real fast, that I think everybody else maybe will echo as well. As we get closer to the big shows, if you have any feedback at all, I'll ask specifically for me on my casting, please send it my way. This is the only game I've ever casted. I've been doing it for about 6 months, and I'm always open to improvement. So if there's something you love or something you can't stand, please let me know, because I would love to work on it.
That's
it, man.
I'm with that.
Yeah, Artie, any final thoughts from you?
I don't have thoughts ever, so I'm chilling. Just thanks for having me. This is great. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in Sweden later this year. I'm looking forward to hopefully being on this podcast a little bit more. I
love that.
I wanted to kind of spin up something, and I was like, you know what? Why bother doing something on my own when the TFC boys have been doing it better than everybody else have for ages? And so I'm just happy to have mind controlled you guys to let me on here. So,
hey, listen.
Too often.
Are we potential live from Stockholm ATA episode? Potentially. Get the hotel room set up.
I'm in.
I'm in.
No, we're in.
Do we do it live with the crowd at the hotel venue? Or the
with the crowd, we can set that up.
Honestly, I'm down. I mean, listen, we'll say it here too. If you've made it, first of all, if you made it through the whole show or you came in late, one thing, the show will be on YouTube. It will be on Spotify. Probably by the end of tonight. I will try to get it uploaded ASAP. The other thing, closed quals is coming around, right? For LC, I think it's technically LCQ closed quals for TGM 26. there is a likelihood, a chance perhaps, that there will be an in-person watch party if some of the fellows on your screen are not casting said event. If that happens, you'll know when it happens. We're still in the process of planning that, but yeah, we could totally roll that over and also do a live pod at TGM. We wanted to last year. We just strictly ran out of time, to be honest with you. We were flying by the seat of our pants. I think this year we can expect a little more. So
wait.
Yeah,
live pod
that will absolutely happen.
Pre-pub crawl live pod or post-pub crawl live pod?
Mid pub crawl live pod.
Mid.
Everybody gets
Oh,
to sit
yeah,
down.
mid.
Everybody gets to sit down.
Oh,
and
we
count.
pregame and then we go to the second place. The
I'm
mics
there.
are
Everybody's
set
just
up.
allowed to sit down
Listen.
and join in.
Oh
It'll be like we'll have like an
God.
80-person roster just coming in
Neon,
and
you
out.
got here at a weird time, man. No, welcome,
Oh
buddy.
yeah. Oh, we did say the pub crawl, and if you know, you know, and you will know so very soon. That's gonna happen yet again. We're gonna make some very wonderful cards again if you want to get some of those. But nonetheless, I think everybody said some beautiful things. I think there's gonna be some beautiful things coming. And I hope you guys all enjoyed the pod. Like Sam said, if you guys have anything to say about my casting or Sam's casting, hit us up. Let us know because we always are trying to improve. But this pod was incredible. I thank you to everybody for coming on and watching, but also you three beautiful fellas for joining me and all of TFC on this. But nonetheless, I think there's only one thing we have to say. And Sam, I don't think we've said it in quite some time. Where will we be seeing the people?
We'll
Where
see
can they
you
see us?
all around the arena.
Peace
Catch you
out.
later.